All right, so we're back with the latest episode of Converse with Miss Virstyne Henry of Truth or Talk. How you doing, Virstyne?
I'm great. I'm great. How about you?
She says she's doing. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And let's go ahead and get some formalities out of the way. Let's go ahead and drop your link in the chat so people can find you.
Okay, truthertalk.com. And is that my YouTube channel?
I got you. I already got you. Yeah, I got your link already dropped. I'm prepared. Yeah. So this conversation is going to be about surviving hard decisions and division. Oh, you got a new sub already? Thank you, Natasha. Let's go back and speak to some people because I had my the producers that were making sure the volume was right, and they got us hopefully in pocket. Dan was here first. He said NA starts at 10 Mo. I just want to address that. We have to accommodate to our guests who are so gracious to bless us with their time. So with the Converse, that's kind of like fluid. The times are fluid because we had to work with the guests that are willing to come and have a conversation with the Fats family. Let's see. Sophisticated, he was up in here early, said starts at 10. I don't know where the 10 a.m. thing came from, but yeah, that's weird. But I said it for 12. Natasha, how you doing? She was helping us with the sound. Appreciate that. They were in here early too. They were waiting to see you. You got a lot of love on this side. You get a lot of love on this side. Shirley, how you doing? The SSGSS. Shirley again. Rob. Let's see. Mars. Yep, Mars is helping us with the sound. Appreciate that. Sal, man, you killing me with this. How you pronounce it? Cyrus? I don't know. Help me out with that.
Cyrus? I don't know if it's that right. That's the Irish name, right? Like the actress?
Okay, it may be. Look, you know, my Theo Huxtable cuts up on me sometimes. So let's see. Perverted's in the house. Donnell. Yeah, and Perverted says, you're his lady. Virstyne. So hopefully, Daniel, how you doing? So hopefully, there you go. So how's everybody doing in the live chat? We spoke to you all. We're going to get right into this conversation. As you know, with the Converse, we have an isolated conversation with the guest. Then for about 20, 30 minutes, and then we go to the live chat to get some feedback, questions, and then we do that about 2 or 3 times, and then we wrap up. So Sophisticated's hiding in the broom closet right now, just so you can hear us. That's what's up right there. No, you're not officially simping. It's okay. This is a simp-free song, so. Yep.
Get on.
Let's see. So, yep. So what we're going to do is we have just some clips to set up what we're going to talk about. And this show is going to be about the holidays and with our decisions to be vaxxed or unvaxxed. It may cause some confusion with the family, may have some people isolated. So we want to kind of talk about it since we went through one holiday and we have a handful of holidays depending on your faith or whatever coming up, and so how we can navigate those situations. Cool? You cool with that, Virstyne?
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get into this setup clip just so we'll know what the situation is currently now.
Holiday season is here, and you're probably starting to plan all of those trips and parties and all that fun stuff, right? Well, Dr. Fauci has some good news for you if you're vaccinated and plan to be around other people who are vaccinated. He says you can all get together and do so safely.
Well, Martha, I believe strongly that, particularly in the vaccinated people, if you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated, those who are eligible, and that is obviously very young children are not yet eligible, that you can enjoy the holidays. You can enjoy Halloween, trick-or-treating, and certainly Thanksgiving with your family and Christmas with your families. That's one of the reasons why we emphasize why it's so important to get vaccinated.
Now, just a few weeks ago, Fauci had said it was too soon to tell whether or not holidays should go on as planned. Well, as he stressed the importance of vaccines, he criticized bans on vaccine mandates like the one that we see in Texas. He said on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace that the restrictions are not based in science and are harmful to the nation's fight against COVID.
That is really
your lockdowns aren't based in science either.
We know how effective vaccines are in preventing not only illness for the individual, but for diminishing the dynamics of the infection in society. The data are very, very clear. It doesn't matter what I think or not think of Governor Abbott. The fact is, look at the data and look at the difference between people who get vaccinated versus people who are unvaccinated in cases, in hospitalizations, and in deaths.
Mask and vaccine mandates are important in not only protecting ourselves, but of course the people around us as well.
You failed, Virstyne. I was going to see if you could make it through a whole Fauci clip without without responding.
I was cursing him out through the whole time.
I was going to see if you could make it there.
No, I can't.
Now I think your mic's a little hot, so let's bump you down. This is crazy. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard, y'all, but we're gonna get there. Y'all let me know if...
Did you hear me cursing? I told my mom to listen to the show. My mom doesn't want me cursing. I was like, I'm gonna be able to
don't make mama mad. I don't want her to come pop up in the live chat and you're saying get both of them. So
was I on mute?
No, you weren't. I can't hear. I was gonna see if you could make it through a whole clip, but that's exactly
next time. I have to get it out.
But that's exactly what we're talking about right there. Is the polarizing effect that these decisions have on people and situations. And so what we want to do is really examine what's going on as far as let's just put it out there. Some people now they're saying I'm mad loud again. Now they're saying you're super quiet. What is going on here? Y'all are killing me. You know what?
It's like we need Fauci to tell us how to live our life. Really, dude, when he's having photo ops telling us to wear masks, but then when he goes out, he doesn't wear it. All these people, rules for thee, but not for me, right? They go and they do whatever they want. They have parties. Gavin Newsom opens up his wineries, but everybody else has to close, right?
Right.
And he was saying stuff like, "Oh, well, we know what science? None of this is based on science. It's based on politics and it's based on mind control. That's what it's based on."
Okay.
None of these lockdowns is based on science. This corona faux pandemic is not based on science. It's based on fear and the ignorance of the people and how they've wielded people's ignorance and manipulated them to, follow orders without thinking critically. And when people are in a state of fear, think about it. When people are in a state of fear, even the most intelligent person, they can lose their bladder functions. They can go into a state of paralysis, based on fear. Like, for instance, if you're walking around and you see a lion, some people just stand there and shake. Some people might lose their bladder function.
I thought you were going to say something else besides shake, but I was about to say this is a family friendly show.
Yeah.
I would probably do more than shake if I saw a lion. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you.
I'm just saying though. So kind of like think about how we've been programmed. Like look at all of the movies that have been, made about viruses and zombies, right? The past like almost 2 decades, there have been lots of movies, right? End of the world, post-apocalyptic or apocalyptic movies based on this invisible monster that we can't see that's supposed to be able to kill us all. And if you think about it, the biological sciences are really one of the sciences. I guess there's more than one, but we're just talking about basing biological sciences and comparing it to the physical sciences, where it's based on trust, right? Trust. Mm-hmm. We don't have $100,000 microscope where we can go and see these things for ourselves. So they could be, putting radiation in the air and people get sick, and then they can say it's a virus, but we don't know because we can't. It's nothing we can't really confirm. But if you're building an airplane and that airplane falls, we know that something was up with the engineering, right? We can something we can confirm with our own eyes, but biology is a whole different ballgame, and they've been lying to us and manipulating us about biology for a long time. Sorry. And it's because we have to defer to these high priestesses to tell us what is, what is true and what isn't true, instead of being able to decipher for ourselves. There are ways that you can decipher for yourself, and most people don't know that. So, the homeless population, we have 600,000 people in the country, and none of them drop dead of the supposed deadly virus. But,
okay. Virstyne, let's slow the merry-go-round down. Slow it down so people can hop on.
Can I address Chuck Gibbs? Yeah, but there's plenty of people that do have a mass pack and chromatograph and can see it. They can't be all lying. Yeah, they can be lying, and because the public doesn't know, right? So not everybody has one. That's my point, right? Okay. We don't know. We're based on what they're telling us that they see. And there's a whole, I should give you some links to, there's a really good movie called, that's been banned, of course, but it's called Virology Debunks Corona. And there's a huge debate in the scientific community about what coronavirus is and how it affects people. And the scientists that have contrary analysis or theories about it, they've been silenced. So there's not really a healthy debate. People don't understand what Koch's postulates is, which is a methodology that's used in
I want to stop you right there. I'm going to slow it down. Because everything you just said about mass spec has just went over my head. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Okay. Is that a lot of people are making decisions that impact their family members on both sides, that they're taking information and just running with it. What I'm trying to do here is not to have people binary or so binary that we get lost in the conversation. You understand what I'm saying? And because once we go binary, then it's going to be us and them. And that's the whole point of this, is how do we survive our hard decisions? A lot of us are locked in on, I'm on this side or I'm on that side. So that's a given that people are locked in on their sides. Now, how do we navigate the holidays, family gatherings, isolation, living with our decision, right? Because, with that, it may be some doubt to say, you know what, is it really worth it to make this decision when I'm going to be ostracized, isolated? So that's where we're going with this conversation. I don't want to steer it too much, but I don't want to get people lost in the weeds. And just for people to, should I explain the merry-go-round analogy to people, because maybe some first time listeners. Okay, so what the merry-go-round analogy is, so if you ever were at a playground when you were young, you would have the big kids come to the merry-go-round and they would spin it so fast that the people off the merry-go-round couldn't hop on, and the people that were on the merry-go-round were holding on for dear life. Not to get thrown off. So that's kind of how it is with truth. We have to slow this merry-go-round down slow enough where people can hop on and get into the truth. Because if we don't, then we just lose people in the facts and data and talking points. And not saying you're saying talking point, but on both sides, it's just like it just becomes a like a white noise kind of thing, and they hear you like the Charlie Brown teacher. So that's my analogy for the truth. So if you can get a personal connection with somebody, you can reach them more than just hitting them with the machine gun of facts, like it was like. So with that said, Where were we at?
I was going off about virology and the corona and stuff. I put a link in the chat on YouTube. I can't access your StreamYard one, but it says it's virology debunks corona. And I think that's something that everybody should check out if you want to kind of get at what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that microbes don't exist and bacteria don't exist, but there's a different theory in science, in mainstream science, about what viruses are and how they attack the body and what they actually are. And this is a debate that's been going on since the quote unquote discovery of a virus. But the mainstream narrative that we and perspective that we have about viruses leaves the public in a state of disempowerment. So they want to keep that going because they have power over us. And a lot of people don't even know. These are mainstream scientists that don't agree with the narrative of what viruses are. Nobel laureates, world-renowned scientists that have labs, that have published, that are peer-reviewed, not just some conspiracy theorist, not just some crazy person or bitter person or delusional person that's making this up. I'm not saying if people got quote-unquote corona, they didn't get sick. But there are different steps that need to be taken to determine whether it was a parasite, a bacteria, because or a chemical environment poison. Because knowing what it is a thing that helps you cure it. And if you're being told that it's something else when it's not, it's going to lead you down the wrong path in being able to cure yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's a great segue, because what we have to do now is promote your PDF that you put together.
Yes.
As you can see on the screen. So you took the vaccine. Now what? I don't have the link here, but I'm sure if people reach out to you or
what I'm going to do. Oh, sorry. So what I'm going to do.
Go ahead.
I'm also a health coach, and I want to get people to just subscribe and to my email list because of the censorship. And I've been working on it since I got back this morning, and I still don't have it connected to my website yet. So when we finish the show, I'm going to be working on that, but I'll give you the PDF for free when you sign up to my email list. And it's 8 pages, because I think last time we left off, we were talking about people that got the Voldemort, the Vaseline, the Satan juice, whatever you want to call it. And I give some steps on how to navigate it. And it's not just, some of it is supplements and stuff, because this is based on, doctors and scientists that have actually gotten vials of the Voldemort, and they figured out what's in it. And then they try to figure out how to either detox the contents from your body or mitigate them in some way. But then,
so that's something they can find in the PDF, right?
Yeah. And, some of it is very disturbing. I'm not going to lie. I'm real with people too. I'm like, hey, but I'm just saying, and, in addition to that, what do you do emotionally? How do you emotionally handle, I think there are a lot of people that feel coerced into getting it. And they, I don't want them to feel like a bad person. I'm not going to sit up here and call them a sheep, whatever, for taking it, because a lot of people were forced with having to have a job, keep their job and raise their family, or getting, the Vaseline. You call the Vaseline, right?
And we understand that pressure, right? We understand the pressure of the just surviving, and we need the money, and we need to and live. Scared. But the thing I want to talk about more is the isolation from other family members. And I just want to be clear that can exist on both sides. You could have people that have taken the Vaseline, say, people that haven't. You can't come to, Turkey Day. You can't come to Thanksgiving. We got Christmas coming up, Hanukkah, all these holidays coming up. and you may feel isolated, but I have to be 100% real that there are people, which they are the minority, but there are people that says, hey, you took the Vaseline and we're purebloods over here and you can't come to our function, cause you're, what's the word they use? Sloughing, or, what's the other one they use? It's another word where like you're shedding, like dog hair. So what I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make with this is, how do we navigate that? How do we live with our decision, whichever way it is? Because once you made that decision and you stood on it, then, how do you not go back? I think your PDF will help from the physical side of it, of how do you live? You made a decision. How do you live with it? And you want to optimize, your health, even once you had to make that decision, whether it was coerced or it was just an independent decision on your own. We all should want to be more healthy. And let me be clear, we're not giving any health advice. I think Virstyne would do that on her own, with her health coaching and all of that. But at the same time, go ahead.
I want to say, I know you don't like to be binary, but there is actually science to actually show that if you do get Voldemorted, that they actually shed. There's studies, there are papers, there's evidence, anecdotal evidence to prove this, not only with this jab, but with other vaccines as well. Okay. So there's actually more science to prove that. So I made a conscious decision. I made a conscious decision to not live in fear, and I'm still going to be around people that I know and love that have been had the Vaseline. However, if I were to
wait, can you don't breeze past that? Can you say that one more time, just for the people in the back that may not have heard you?
I said I've made the conscious decision to hang around people that I know and love that have been have had the Vaseline.
So you won't let it divide you, right?
Well, but you know what? If I were to get pregnant, I would not be around people that have had the Vaseline, because there's lots of evidence to show that people do shed and it could affect the baby.
But that goes to show, I just want to be clear, that's big on your part, that shows nuance to say, in this scenario, I would do this, but in this other scenario, I would do something different. You're not just a hard liner to say, go over there, dirty blooders, over there, the same, because what I'm seeing is, when you start to push people so far, they start to reflect the same energy, but with a different polarity.
Yeah.
To say,
Yeah, because there's a lot of hurt, right? Like,
right.
And a lot of health freedom activists that are my friends. There's some people that are like that. There are people that are just like, they're not going to even be around anybody that's vaccinated, and they're just like, I'm not going to have anything to do with people like that. And like I said, I don't think those people, I actually tend to side with that in a sense, because I know that there's science to back up that that shedding can hurt you. There are incidents of people's pets even falling sick or dying that have been vaccinated because they've been affected by the shedding of the jab. So, but I mean, I'm not going to live my life in fear either. I'm just making sure that my immune system is in the best possible shape. I've been researching one of the things that people in the natural health community are looking into and promoting as a way to protect themselves from the shedding of the Voldemorts is pine needle chi. The health ranger gives a really good breakdown on that, and I've had some information. It's in the PDF because it's long, right? It's a lot of information. You're gonna have to watch some videos. You're gonna have to read some stuff. So I can't break it down in like an hour or however 2 hours. And that's this is gonna be, but.
And we're not trying to do that. You know what I mean by we're not trying to get into the. I'm trying to pull the conversation back because I'm just going to say this. A lot of people are going to be like, F your facts, F your feelings. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not let them divide us because the division is the weapon. I'm going to say that one more time. I'm trying to not let them divide us because the division is the weapon.
But the Vaseline is also a weapon. It's a bioweapon.
Well,
honestly, Mo, I see what you're saying, but I mean, like, if you, like, okay, take the zombie movies and stuff that we watch, right? Mm-hmm. And if, according to the zombie movies, if somebody was infected and, they have creatures crawling out their nose and they're bleeding like slime and stuff, and if they touch you, then you're going to turn into that. What would you do? Would you be like, you can still come over for Thanksgiving? I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll fix you a plate and you can sit outside.
But I understand that, but I have to push back again. I have to push back against you because you say that, but at the same time, you said you wouldn't let it prevent you from being around family and friends. So obviously,
that's me.
Obviously, no. What I'm saying, obviously, you've done the homework, and I got to give. That's why I bring you on the channel because you're one of the few people to actually talk from being informed and not just picking a side and then finding the facts to support it. Because a lot of people do that. It's like they pick the side and then they go fish for the facts. You actually done the work. You actually done the research. You know what I'm saying? You're well informed and you're basing your decision off of that. So like I said,
I see the trying to divide us. Go on. I get that. But it also, for me, mm-hmm. my thing is, I've worked so hard on my health. I used to be really sick. I still, not as much as I used to, deal with chronic pain. And I've been able to turn that around. And really, the concept is simple. And I'm not trying to be like condescending, but what you want to do is get as many toxins out of your body and then flood your body with stuff that nourishes it. And if you're getting Vaselines, you're putting toxins in your body, And
like I said, we're not trying to get anybody to do anything what they don't want to do. But as Ned said, let's just take this as a quick break to go to the live chat, right? So, All right, so now we're going to the facts, family, and question the comments. So, and I want to start with Ned's comment of, don't be scared to go around people Vaseline or Unvaccinated. Just saying, in my opinion, and I'm the same way because because here's the weird thing, and this is just, I'm going to speak to my believers for a minute. Now we say we're standing on our religious exemption, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying a lot of people are using that as a reason. Believers are using that as a reason not to take it. But also in that book that we believe in, it says that we should not have the spirit of fear. So you can't, we can't be walking around with the spirit of fear to live our everyday lives. But using the religious exemption, as a way to not be forced to do something. So that's the point I'm trying to make is I'm not going to walk around in fear. Am I going to take precautions? Yeah. Of course. Am I going to educate myself on the best methods for mitigating any risk that may be possible? Of course. But at the same time, I understand what the devil goal is to kill, steal, and destroy. And the main way they do that is division. He turns one against the other and lets them do the dirty work for him. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're right. So, and it's like, and if you're going to have the attitude where I'm not going to be around anybody that's vaccinated, then you might as well just stay home because you're
just as bad. You're just as bad at the other side. I mean, we have to be fair.
I wouldn't say they're just as bad though, because they're based. I'm like I'm saying, their fear is based in truth and science. I feel, but I'm saying me personally, mm-hmm. If I'm living in fear about being around people that are vaccinated, that means I can't go out to the mall. I can't go out in public because you don't know who's been, who has it or not. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to live my life in fear. If I were to get pregnant, I would take precaution. But I mean, I don't like the whole fact that people are saying that, people that have that fear or precaution are they're just kind of like flippant about their decisions, and they're making their decisions willy-nilly. Like I understand, but at the same time, I have to live my life. I'm not going to like spend my life in my house, and you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that either. But
and that, like I said, what the point I'm trying to make is, at some point when things get revealed, because they're always going to be a revelation. My fear is now, let's round up all the people that did take it and put them in camps for the public's good. You see how they could easily be flipped totally. 180?
I don't think it should. Yeah, I know. I thought about that too. I don't agree with that either. Well,
this enemy that we face. Go ahead.
But technically, that's how you're supposed to do it. Because if they have been vaccinated and they're sick, you're supposed to quarantine the sick, not the healthy. And this is the mess that we got in with COVID, that they were quarantining the healthy and not the sick.
Yeah. So, but my point is, if we go binary and say good, bad, all they got to do is switch to, who's the good and who's the bad. And then we're in the same, as Kwame Brown said, we're in the same duo twist.
Yeah, but what they're doing in Australia right now, they're actually rounding up people that have not been vaccinated. So they're twisting it up. So they're leaving, if you've done the science and you believe the people that are, Vaseline, they shed, you're going to leave the people that are shedding out into society, right? And then that's going to make other people sick. From the Vaseline. It's like, there was this town in let me take it back. There's this town, nobody talks about it, but it's documented in medical literature. And okay, I'm gonna slow the merry-go-round.
Can you save that story on the back end? Save that story. Put it actually, I want to pick up right there when you. Okay. Because I want to get to some of the comments, because, we don't want to forget about the Facts family. Let's see. Because I want to hear about this story, so I'm make a note of that's what we'll pick up on the next segment between our conversation. It says, this is about, the Unicorn Tub said, this is about freedom of choice. My body, my choice. Okay, yep. And you see how that's what I'm saying. You see how when you're binary, you could take the same slogans and flip them and use them against people's. So I'm just... I'm just trying to be the cool-headed. Yeah.
Also, the narrative that's being pushed by celebrities and the media is that the unvaccinated are the unclean ones. And even what you put up there, it says half vaccinated Americans might not spend the holidays with unvaccinated family and friends profiles. Now, I would say that you're right. There are people that are like that on the unvaccinated side, and then they're saying that, I don't want to. But those are very few. The majority of people I know are actually vaccinated, and they don't want to spend the holidays with the unvaccinated. And even in my own camp, and people that I do know, they've been X'd out and they've been pushed away from their vaccinated family members. I know somebody that was kicked out their house because they refused to get the vaccine. But everybody in the family was vaccinated. So why did that make a difference, right? And they're getting support from the mainstream narratives and the media and everybody else in the majority. They think this is what the majority thinks. So it's okay to discriminate. It's okay to be a Nazi. It's okay to be, a Ku Klux Klan member, because they're acting like it is in Jim Crow, right? They're saying that you can't fly unless you're vaccinated. You can't go to get a job. You can't. So it's really the unvaccinated that are being discriminated against. Just to be real.
But my thing is, if we set up the conditions of how we deal with people, they could easily turn who's good and bad on its ear, do a complete 180, and now we'll operate under the same conditions. Like I said, what I'm trying to do is get rid of the camps. I'm trying to get rid of the camps, not decide who goes in them.
I know what you're saying, but I just want to speak on what's happening now, and that's what's happening now. And what's happening now is the unvaccinated people are being discriminated against. I mean, that could happen, maybe, but I really don't see that happening, because the agenda is to get everyone vaccinated. So they're not going to really turn it against the vaccinated people. You know what I mean? Because the agenda.
What I would say is, if they're putting
the people in charge are the ones that are like turning the dial and getting us to fight against each other. It's the unvaccinated that are the unprivileged, the unclean, and the pariahs. Okay. So
for now. Let's get to
that can happen, but hypothetically that can happen, I guess. But I don't think it's likely to happen.
You don't think so? Hold on. I'm going to give you an example, and then we're going to get to some comments. But I'm going to give you an example. Okay. 50, 60 years ago, being gay was the outside. Mm-hmm. That was the thing that's seen by society as like the thing you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Fast forward now. If you're not completely accepting, and even, almost being straight is a dirty word now. Yeah, so don't act like we can't. Don't act like the mass media can't turn a narrative on its head. Yeah,
I'm saying they're not going to, because it's not going to serve their agenda.
I don't put anything past these people.
I know, but look, being gay right now serves their agenda because they want to demoralize and rip up society. Right. So now it does. Back then, it still served a purpose when it was the other way, because it ripped up society. They were able to create a culture. Just like kind of farming, like they farm Black people, and they, you have to act a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to listen to a kind of certain music. They've done the same thing with the gay people. They've run the same game on Black people as they have on, gay people as they have on Black people. Now that they formulated this culture, they needed that, right? So now so back then when you were gay, you were pushed out of society, and you're gay. And let me see, I know this family friendly. I would say, my observation, my experience, talking to people, research I've done, being gay, there's a high correlation with sexual trauma. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying everybody that's gay, but most of
I know where you're going with this, but let
me finish my idea. So
okay.
These people are being pushed out of society, right? So say you were say you were molested by somebody in your family, you go to you talk about it, and then your family turns against you, turns it on you, say it's your fault, and then maybe you're gay as a result of it, and then you come out as gay and your family disowns you. You're going to go outside of your community. You're going to find family, because that's what we do. We're social creatures. We want family. You're going to go and you're going to find people that are going to love you. And now you have these community of people that are gay that have been pushed out by their family. Now you can form them. Now you can make a culture that's very demoralizing. Not like because they're gay, but there's a lot of trauma in the gay community. There's a lot of drug abuse. These are conditions too that are made so people can be manipulated, they can be mind controlled, right? Kind of the same thing that's happened with breaking up the family. So it's just another way to break up the family, just with Black people and stuff. So in that sense,
that's my point. That's my whole point right there.
I'm saying they needed that. They needed that. I know. I'm getting back to. I know what you're saying, but they needed that to break up the family, to like you said, create division. And then now they flipped it because it serves their agenda now to bring this culture back into the bigger society and start ripping it up that way. Mm-hmm. But
and that's the point I'm trying to make is I am not concerned about who is right or wrong. I am trying to address the conditions of how people are being dealt with, because the people on top can easily be on the bottom very quickly, and I'm just warning of that.
I get what you're saying, I'm saying I don't think so. You have to look at the bigger agenda and the picture right now. It doesn't serve people the controllers, the elite. It doesn't serve them to deem the unvaccinated, as the righteous ones, because they want to have everybody vaccinated. They're coercing people into getting vaccinated. You just used. Hold on. I can understand how that can happen. I'm just saying I don't think it will at this point in time, because it serves them to have things that it is now. Right. Hypothetically, yes, you're saying that kind of like you can be that person. Be careful how you treat people, because the tables can easily turn.
Right, and
I'm just saying I agree with you. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to happen that way, because I'm looking at the bigger agenda, where at this point in time where they're trying to get everybody vaccinated, where they want to have a lower population, because it's not going to serve them. They want to get people vaccinated, so they're going to make it seem uncool if you're not vaccinated, unclean. And this is another way that they're coercing people into getting vaccinated. They're not letting them participate in reindeer games. They're not letting them, join things, right? Go to music concerts. stuff like that. Until they get everybody, vaccinated. They want the majority of people vaccinated.
For now.
Yeah,
for now. For now. Because you just used the word yourself, the controllers. And all they seek is control. It doesn't matter how they get it, who they cater to, whatever agenda. It's like, as long as we have control of you, we're not, and like I said, I want to address this on the backside, but I'm just you use the word controllers. And that's the whole point of this whole exercise is control. It's not about the topic. It's not about the subject. It's about control. And what they do is they delegate controlling powers down to the individual by making them feel special. You're the special one. And it's kind of like that exercise where they're like, the kids with the blonde hair and blue eyes, you're in power. You're smarter. You're in control. And then they switch it 2 days from now, and it's like, oh, no. We did the study. So I just want to point out, it's about the control mechanism. I don't want to get too off in the subject itself, but can we get to the facts, family? Go ahead.
I want to ask you though, why do you think they want everybody? Why do you think that they're coercing people, they're bullying people into getting vaccinated? And I read the opinion that I have now because I've studied the history of vaccines from smallpox up until now, and they're using the same tactics, and they've never made the unvaccinated people the righteous one. They've always been the unclean ones, the pariahs. And now I think this is their big end game, because this is now the largest implementation of this vaccine program, because now it's international. So I just don't think it's going to serve them for what they want to flip this. They can, but I don't see why they would strategically. I just don't see why they would do that.
Okay, I'm gonna answer your question with a comment. And folks, Virstyne is completely uncontrollable. She's off. We can't do anything with her. But that's what we love about you. She's a habitual line stepper, as David Chappelle would say. But we love that about you, Virstyne. That's why we love to have you come on and do these conversations with us. But just to point out Miguel's comment here, I took my father to the hospital. He coughed on me. I thought I was gonna get sick. Nothing, not even a runny nose, and that was March 30th, 2020. That's the whole point. You're asking, why do they want to do this? They want us to be afraid of each other. Fear is, like you said, fear, and I'm agreeing with you on everything that you said. It's about fear. Fear is a very debilitating thing. It can make you look at people and say, oh, this thing, kids have been sneezing on moms and dads and grandmas, and I'm one of those people that when my mom and dad had to go to work, grandma would come take care of me, right? If I was sick and out of school. Now it's like to the point where grandma might say, no, I can't come over there with them kids. They're going to kill me. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this exercise. But
it's based in ignorance, right? So this is why you got to you guys, look, watch this documentary, Space Busters Virology Debunks Corona. The guy that just made the comment, Miguel, what's up, Miguel? What's up? It says, I took my father to the hospital. He coughed at me. I thought I was going to get sick. Nothing, not even a runny nose. That was March. Look at that documentary. That would answer your question of what happened the way it did.
Let's do a speed round to get through these comments, and we make a quick. Yeah, I told you she's uncontrollable, folks. But I'm gonna try my best to keep us on the rails. All right, so we got Perverted Best says dead virus seems more harmful than have something and a live one in you, just from my opinion. Okay, let me go through these really quickly. There's an old video on C-SPAN laid it out. Okay, they're smart. I'm just getting through these comments right quick. They change the definition, right? And they change definitions. They change who's good, who's bad. These people will do anything to maintain control, and I use the word people very loosely. Invasion of the body snatchers. The one who snatched work for them. Work to infect the others, right? Okay. Just keep going down. Somebody agreed with me, so that's always a good thing. I don't know what you agreed about, but I'll take it. Let's see. Okay. Ned said that's why we need to destroy their narrative with truth without causing people to be polarized by the situation. And that's the thing what I'm trying to say, not be binary. And Virstyne, you are not binary because you show nuance in saying I will be around people in this condition, but under another condition I wouldn't be. So I would not call you a binary thinker. So just want to highlight that point. Perverted said they blame us as a conspiracy theory. I'm just getting through these real quick, folks.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, Natasha says, just like being a Christian, they have been attacked for decades, right? But at one time, it was the non-believers, pagans, that were attacked. So I'm just showing you how fast things can move, narratives can move. At one time, I'm just going to point out, at one time in this country, being a straight heterosexual white male was the most powerful class you could be in or demographic you could be in. Now it's the most ostracized, or I'm gonna say that we gotta be careful of that too. They give the appearance of it being the most ostracized. Really, I would think these doctors, being Dr. Fauci and who else, still falls under that category. So it's amazing how they say we shouldn't listen to certain demographics, but it's the same different demographics and making decisions for everybody. I just want to point that out. Hi, Andre. How you doing? Where's Judy at? I know you like y'all telling Louise. How you doing, Andre?
Louise.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody said that, right, the Jewish was the same game, right? That they were the victims of World War II. Now they are what? They have a lot of power, and a lot of people blame them. And it's like they do this wide swath thing of it's all the Jewish people. No, and that's what we have to be careful of.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, so I'm gonna, let's see. I want to get to your story. I want to get to your story. So remember your story about that city. So I just want to get through these things right quick. The sickness that attacked last year was weakened compared to this year's. Last year started off strong, but eventually fizzled. Okay. Yeah, Natasha, money. That's what this is all about, because money is control. It's paper, but it's control. It's the power that we give it that makes it controlling. Did we get to everybody? Oh, we got Deep Impressions in the house, the official spammer of the MoFax channel. Thank you for spamming, please. Please continue what you're doing. Also, people, like, share, subscribe. This is a value for value platform. This is what allows us to come here and have these conversations. Virstyne, how can people donate to you? I know you have a lot of products, which I'm a big fan of, that you provide to people, in exchange for, money. But if people just want to outright support you, how can they do that as well?
Just go to, you can go to truthertalk.com. Mm-hmm. I have a store there. I have artwork for sale. I have t-shirts for sale. You can also donate. We take cryptocurrency. I think there's a donation button. You can Cash App. You can, what's the other one? PayPal donations. I also have a course on Udemy called Conspiracy Realism course. I'm working on, hopefully, I said I was going to do it by this next one. I will see if I can, how to get a discount code for the people that listen to this show, so you can get a percentage off of it. And just, share my videos, subscribe to my channel.
Always helps.
I would say us because there's a co-founder, and she's taking a break to be an awesome homeschooling mom. But it's funny, at one time she had a larger following than I did, because she wrote a lot and stuff. And I think, I don't know, I would like for her to get back into it, but it's hard being a mom. It's a lot of work, and it's hard being a homeschooling mom. I'm very proud of her though. She's badass. So, I think family comes first. If I had a family, I would make them a priority for sure. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I say me, or sometimes I say us. So if I'm talking about us, I'm thinking of my best friend and co-founder. And you can also listen to our podcast on SoundCloud. But usually in the description of the YouTube videos, I put all the links. You can follow us on different social media. So there's a lot going on. And then my health coaching is Timmy Anad, trust, this is the acronym for Trust Me, I'm Not a Doctor.com. And I'm ready to take clients. I'm only going to be taking 10 people a month because that's all I can time-wise afford to health coach, I think, at a time. But and it's a long process. It's about 90 days, but I'm helping people with autoimmune diseases, reverse and manage their autoimmune disease. So, but I would help you, like, give you full support. So I'll help you. We'll do elimination diets. I will I will help you with budgeting, with meal plans, the list, emotional support. So you have all that. So the trends.
I'm gonna have to be one of those 10 after these holidays. I've done too much. I did too much for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I also am going to do videos, and I'm going to start to have interviews too, so people can still get health tips here and there. So if you can't afford it or whatever, you have the time, then. And I'm definitely, I'm definitely going to be going to just basic health tips and things that, you're not taught about, because my mission really is to get people to be empowered and know how to heal themselves. Because at the end of the day, the reason that these pharmaceutical industries are getting away with what they're getting away with is because people are ignorant. And I'm not saying people are stupid. They just don't know better. Or they're, or they think that they need them. Everything, every solution that they offer is with a pill or a vaccine, and that's not how we're supposed to roll as human beings. Or
a knife. You forgot the knife. You forgot the knife.
A knife, right? Yeah. A knife, a vaccine, or a pill. And human beings are amazing. And if you really think about how much we're being poisoned, like the food, the things that they're putting in the food, how they're genetically modifying the food, the vaccines, what they're spraying in the sky, the water, like everything, the TV, the EMF waves, like everything. We're being attacked on all levels, but we're still around. I think about that sometimes. I was like, how come we're not dead? We're amazing. We're amazing. We're sick, but we're still not gone, right? And what you were saying, how, like the devil or the evil, they want us to fight each other. I've heard and I've read, and I don't know that these, these people, these things, whatever you want to call them.
Lizards. We call them lizards.
Yeah, lizards. Right? They do have a spiritual belief that they can't really hurt us without spiritual consequences, so they get us to hurt ourselves in turn.
That leads me right into the perverted. And I mean, cut you off because I want to not gloss over this binary thing, because you just laid it out right there. They have no power over us. They have to turn us against each other, and that's the only power they have. Now, by doing that, and you focus on, I think you focus on the results because that's reflected in the body. I'm focusing on where it begins, and that's in the mind. See, we're watching the same game, but just from different seats in the arena. And you're saying, okay, these negative things reflect in the body, right? In sickness and in pain and whatever, fill in the blank of adverse effects. I'm saying the way you eliminate it is at the point of entry. So just take food, for instance. Cake is bad. Fried food is bad, but it's not harmful to you if you don't eat it. You know what I'm saying? They can cook 10,000 pounds of fried chicken, but if you don't eat it, guess what? It's not harmful to you.
But it's also not going to shed. You're not going to eat chicken, and the poison in the chicken is not going to shed. But I'm just saying we're in a different game with these vaccinations, where they created something where you can get injected, and it can, like, even if you didn't take it, you can still get sick from it. That's the thing. That's the thing that's messed up, and that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go on.
No, I could, but what I'm not going to allow them to do is I'm not going to have them have me live in a state of fear. Yeah. Which fear, and let's wind it back. The lizard brain. The lizard brain only has the reptilian brain, or we call it the lizard brain over here. And this is how these lizards think. is run or kill. That's the only two things that when you start to think like with your reptilian brain, it's fight or flight. It's run or kill.
Yeah. Lower vibration for sure.
Right. So that's where they want you at, is to run or kill.
But the reason I have the opinion I do is because I just happened to, and I thank God that I was at this point in my life. I just did a lot of research into this stuff already. So when this, pandemic hit, I wasn't living in fear. I was still going outside. They were like, go out, like lockdown. I was like, I don't care. I wasn't wearing a mask. I wasn't doing any of that shit. And I knew I was safe. I knew I was safe because I knew my stuff. But people that didn't know that, they were living in fear. And the way that you erase fears is through knowledge, It's like the Wizard of Oz. Like, these people are like the man in the, what do you call it? The man behind the curtain, right? It's like but before you pull back the curtain, he's like this powerful being and this God and his special effects. But when you get to the nitty gritty and you educate yourself about how they're able to mind control and place fear and plan pandemics and all this stuff, it's really not, that hard to learn. And then you see how much power they don't have. Right? You take away their power. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, if this virus was so deadly, it wouldn't, they wouldn't have needed to manipulate the statistics. It'd just be dead people in the streets. Why wasn't dead people in the streets just like the movie The Stand? Like, that's how it should have looked if there was a virus that was running around killing everybody. Anybody that came in contact with it, they just get it and drop dead. Why do they need to manipulate the statistics and the numbers to make it seem like more people were getting hurt than it was? It's like you watch on TV and you hear, oh my God, the numbers and people are dying. And then you go outside and like nobody's dead on the street.
Okay, so we're going to get into, that's a great segue into, first of all, before we continue on, you want to give us a 2-minute wrap up of your story? Because I promised people that you're going to give us your story of the village, of this town. So you want to give us a 2-minute wrap up of that, and then we'll jump into the tactics being used to divide people.
Yeah, and I gave you 2 links that you might want to put. I don't know, for some reason, I can't even put links in your StreamYard. I've had to put it on YouTube. But the one... I got
them here. I got Space Busters. I got that one, and then I got that second link that you gave.
Somebody wrote on the Leicester method. If you really want to get an in-depth description with links to medical journals that document this since the 1700s. I think they started doing medical journals since like the 1500s. So anyway, that's how people in science, this is how we carry history over and document things through medical journals in the medical world. But there's a really good book called Dissolving Illusions by Suzanne Humphreys, who's a doctor, and Roman Bystrionic, who's a computer scientist. And they got together and they made this book, and they basically collected all the data from people that did collect data on vaccinations. And then they also use journals and people that are around, just like the frontline doctors. Okay, there always have been doctors that have spoken out against vaccinations and these vaccination campaigns, even polio. But they've been silenced. They've just been written out of history. Nobody even knew about these people. So Leicester, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Leicester, England. So when you see pictures of smallpox, right? They show us pictures of smallpox and they're like, oh my God, like people were just dropping dead of smallpox. And you look at that picture and it looks terrible, right? You're like, God, give me a vaccine. Like, I don't want that stuff. It looks like they're just, like a big bug just bit every inch of your body and you just inflame. It looks terrible, right? So, but we honestly, you don't really know, like, was the whole world dying of smallpox? We just know because we were told, right? We didn't know, like, how did they get smallpox? Were they given smallpox, or did they just happen to catch smallpox, right? So through this book and through the documentation, you learn that only about 10% of the people at the time of the planet were vaccinated against smallpox. That the only places that took records were like England, Wales, Australia, Western countries, right? So we're going by what they're telling us. But what really happened was there was this town called Leicester.
I think somebody says not pronounced Leicester.
Leicester? Okay, Leicester. Okay.
Minus the sleazy polyester suit.
Thank you, Daniel Pagan. It looks like it's spelled like Leicester, but it's not. It looks like it's spelled like I said, but I'll say Leicester. I think it is Leicester, England.
And the reason why I did that is I know there's some naysayer out there like, look at her. She claims to be an expert on things, and she can't even pronounce the name of the city correct.
Well, I've heard different doctors and different people pronounce it. No, it's spelled like that though.
What I'm just saying is people will try to discredit you for any little,
Well, they can, but they're dumbasses. So just...
I know. We know.
That's how it's pronounced.
Right.
It's spelled like that. Right? So anyway... So basically... They, this is before social media, but they had this mandate, just like they have now, right? They had mandates. Oh, smallpox is deadly. Everybody has to get mandated. There were towns around where everybody was getting smallpox, but they weren't putting it together that it was the vaccine. So then people, going outside, going on the trolley, walking to work, they're like, hey, my sister got the vaccine and now she has smallpox. They're like, wait a minute, my brother got it. Hey, wait a minute, this person got the vaccine. And so they start to put together that actually the vaccine was what
Vaseline.
was causing. I'm sorry, the Vaseline. what was causing people to get sick, right? And then people started protesting. So they were being thrown in jail. Because they were protesting and refusing to get the Vaseline. So what they did around the same time, people weren't really washing their hands. They would go to bathhouses and, soak in the bath and not clean the water. And they would, they weren't toilets. They would like pee on you'd pee in a pot and then you throw it over outside the street. There were like horses that would, people don't have cars, but there were horses and they would, have dumps in the street. There weren't there wasn't refrigeration. There wasn't like incineration, right? People would just throw their trash out, So this information also around the same time is coming about sanitation. And I forgot the guy's name, but there was a guy basically who was prominent who brought this information out. And he came to this town. He was like, look, what we do is quarantine the people that already have it. Right. And then we're going to clean up the town and we're not going to get Vaselines. OK, we're going to clean up the town. We're going to quarantine the people. And they're like, great, we'll do that. All the other towns mocked them, laughed at them, and they were like, ha, 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 you're going to all die. You're going to create an apocalypse, a pox on all your houses, yada, yada, yada. And basically, they reduced the smallpox down to zero. In addition to that, there was a guy who was a co-discoverer of natural selection named Alfred Russel Wallace. Look this guy up. If you can still find it, there's a CDC article. A CDC wrote an article on him, but they try and paint him as a crazy person. But if you know how the game works, you can definitely read between the lines. This guy, who was a scientist, basically was against the anti-vaccinationists, which is what they were called back then.
There we go.
The anti-vaccinationists. And basically, he was like, well, these people are crazy. They obviously don't know science, blah, blah, blah. But, we'll prove them wrong. I know how we'll prove them wrong. We have statistics. They took records of people that got Vaselines before and after, right? And what they found with the statistics, so he was able to provide quantitative, which means numbers and figures, okay, not anecdotal evidence. Well, that's qualitative, but which is what they use to brainwash us, by the way. They never show quantitative data. They use qualitative data. But this guy was able to use quantitative data to prove that people that were getting sick from the smallpox were sick because they had the Vaseline. So there you go. And he put that argument to rest, and they were able to stop the mandates, get people out of jail. And so my thing is, you can read up a little bit. Like I said, that book, Dissolving Illusions. I found an article when we were talking where somebody talks about that part in the book, and they write up on it a little bit. And but this is the whole. For me, I think the Vaseline agenda has been a big deal since they discovered it, since its invention, where to me, I feel like these people have been trying to figure out how to break our immune systems down from the inside out, because we are so flipping amazing and so strong that even if you released a quote unquote virus out into the public, it really is not going to take effect, because people have different terrains, meaning where they are in their health, where they have weaknesses in their health, even nowadays, right? So this is why I think that they're coercing people and forcing people into getting the Vaseline, because they need to break us down from the inside, and then they can introduce us to poisons and stuff. They've been trying to do this with the vaccine schedule, since they keep adding Vaselines to the Vaseline schedule. But it started with smallpox, then with polio, and it's the same, basically. I mean, I'm not going to go into that now. I did a little mini documentary talking about this lady named Elizabeth Kinney, but that was just kind of the same. So if you look at some of the parallels, if you really get into the history of polio and you look at how it came on, a lot of the same parallels of what's going on with Corona right now.
So let me. Then
there was a swine flu epidemic, and there was swine flu, and there was like Ebola, and they're like all these. Can
I give you a swine flu story, and I want to get into tactics of how they do this? Quick swine flu story. Now, my second daughter, she was born at the height of the swine flu. I think that was it had to be 2008, right? No, 2009. Yeah, because it was my daughter was born. Excuse me, sorry about that. But I remember they were like, only people that can come into the maternity ward were the parent. I mean, the mother, of course, and then the parent of the child. Or you could or if you could have one other person, whether it was your mother or whatever. And my parents actually had to come see their grandchild through the window, stand outside and look at him through the window of the hospital. So this is just let you know, I've been aware of where we were headed for a long time. And now to speak to tactics, their number one tactic is sign language. Are you familiar with sign language?
Like deaf people?
Not the deaf.
Okay, so this.
It's an acronym. It's
like
sign.
A play. It's like a play, right? With symbology and stuff.
Right. So sign language stands for the S. It's an acronym. S stands for shame. I stands for insult. G stands for guilt, and the N stands for it needs to be right. So what we're going to do?
Hold on. Could you say that again?
We're gonna go through them in detail, but that's. No, I didn't. I don't know who actually coined the term. Who brought it to my attention was Kevin Samuels, and it's been floating around the men's rights circles, because this is a tactic that they say that women use against men to win arguments or to make them, So
you have it up on the
right. So I have it up on the screen here. It's shame, insult, guilt, need to be right. So we're gonna walk through all four of these. Like I said, I had something planned for us here. So we're gonna quickly go through these four tactics, and then we're gonna look at finally what the real dangers are if we allow ourselves to be isolated and divided. So shame. It says here, a painful feeling of a humiliation or distress caused by consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. Or let me take it off the screen. Hold on. So I can see the rest of it. And it says verb, a person, action, or situation making someone feel ashamed. And the example is, I tried to shame him into giving some away. So this is their first tactic, shame. How we see this, like, how dare you put people at risk? You know, you might be young and healthy, but you know other people are not. You should be ashamed of we hear the words. You should be ashamed of yourself, not being more considerate. That kind of thing. You wanna address that right quick? I mean, have you seen? Give examples of this tactic. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like, you're going to kill other people. You're putting other people in danger. This has been, even though, like, since the 90s, when the anti-vaccinationist movement started to like ramp up, when they start to increase the vaccine schedule, they started hijacking the intellectia, and that was their thing. And this is based on herd immunity, basically saying if there's a certain percentage of the population that is not Vaselined, then you're going to put everybody else at risk, which that's complete BS because, and the controllers know that it's BS, but they know that people are either too lazy or too ignorant to really look into where this theory comes from. And in fact, it's just a theory, but it was based on a study in the 1930s that this guy who studied measles for 30 years. And he basically concluded that people that got measles didn't get it again because they had herd immunity, but it was based on natural immunity, not immunity induced by Vaselines. Flash forward to one of, I think, the largest comprehensive examples is a place in Zhejiang, China. It's a coastal town near Hong Kong. And basically, they have most of their population is Vaselines. I think they have a population of in the millions. I want to say 5. I'm just going to say in the millions, where most of the people are Vaselines. They have a 99.9% Vaseline rate. And I'm saying that. And I think they allow for like the 0.1% because they allow, they're allowing for people that are foreigners that are coming in that aren't Vaseline, right? But it's like mandatory. There was one period between a 5-year period where they had at least 700 measles outbreaks. So that's BS. There's also the whole theory of, I'm gonna give these two. There's the antibody deception, where it breaks out this whole thing about antibodies and how the antibody theory that we use to measure whether somebody is immune or not is BS based on science. But the media takes headlines, and even the intelligentsia people take it because they don't.
How to say that we're getting there. I want to say that under need to be right. I want to say because we have to.
Okay. Sorry. So basically,
I want to give examples of each one. So shame. Let's just go back to shame, the original thing, and just to fill people in on how I do on the converse is I am the contrarian. I don't like the word devil's advocate. or things of that nature. So I am the contrarian. I push back because we don't want this to become an echo chamber. I ask the questions that maybe people that don't agree with you may ask. So if you feel a little bit of tension between me and any of the guests, we had the same thing when I asked Danny. She came and joined us last time about being a word witch. I asked the questions that people may ask, right? So I do the same thing with you, and you're a good sport about it, because what I want to do is be the voice of the people that may not agree with you, even though I agree with you on most things. I want to be that voice so we can reach them as well. Because that's the whole point, right? Is seek first to understand, then to be understood. Yeah. So that's, So shame. Let's just break down that definition one more time, just the beginning of it. A painful feeling of humiliation or distress. That's based in fear. That was what you were saying before about fear. That distress, that, I'm going to be humiliated, or I'm not going to be accepted. I'm not going to be loved. And this is the first tactic of sign language. Take over. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it, right? So I guess I nerded out, and my thing is, people are able to be shamed because they don't have information. Mm-hmm. When people say that to me, I'm like, so? Because I know I'm not killing people. Most people want to be good people. They don't want to hurt people. So when you give, especially children, teenagers, right? When you give them that, when you're saying, hey, you're killing people, like you're a terrible person. It's like, oh my God, people don't want to be a terrible person. In fact, I believe that at this point, more people are afraid of being looked at as being a terrible person than they actually are of the virus.
And if you go down to similar, I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and say, solidify your point. When you look at similar, one of the things at the very end is loss of face, that people may be on the fence. I'm like, man, I took the first 2 Vaselines, but the third one, you're like, what's going on? But they're scared to say anything because the fear of loss of face. Because you automatically go ahead.
Because you automatically finish, and then I'll say.
Well, you're automatically going to be thrown in with the flat earther and anti-vaxxers. I mean, they're going to basically just discredit you to the point where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? It's just.
And you know what? Isn't that like a, does that come under pride or something? Because honestly, I think at that point, though,
I swear, boy, y'all, the Facts family be on it. We're gonna get there, but that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point.
Because it really is a come to Jesus moment, because it's like you're going to, destroy your temple, destroy your body because of what people think about you that are uninformed and ignorant. Because you're scared of what they think of you. And a lot of these people that even, that are casting these names and stuff, they're not even like admirable people.
Right.
They're like losers. They're like, you care what losers think of you. But another thing is because, they've taken like advantage of some of our natural instincts. In a sense, we are herd people, because we need the community to survive. Right?
You are so hard. You so far. God, I mean, I'm going to have to tell you what I tell my co-host Adam, goggles. And what that means is you're seeing so far into where I'm headed. I had to slow you down some because you're spot on with everything that you're saying and where I'm headed with this. So let's just go ahead and jump into the, that's the S, that's shame. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into insult. Okay, so once shame doesn't work, it's like, you're going to be, and this kind of plays into the anti-vaxxer, flat earther, you don't believe in science. They even turn it over to like the voodoo, hoodoo, witchcraft. You believe in this unproven science.
This ad hominem attacks, right?
Correct. And can you mind if we get into the anti-vaxxers versus anti-vaccinationist conversation that me and you had before? Because I think this plays into insult. So take it away.
Mo changed my mind a little bit, which is like hard to do. But I was saying,
Jesus, it is. No, that's what
you're like, I was sweating by the end. No, but it's like, I see how they use anti-vaxxer as a pejorative, just like the N-word, right? Like it really is like that. People don't want to be called that. It annoys me when I see prominent doctors and scientists that are like, they have, respect and stuff, and they have an opportunity to really see something profound and life-changing. They have evidence to back it up, but they always start it when they criticize Vaselines, they say, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but, So they're saying, oh no, don't call me names, don't put me in that category. And to me, it's a bit disempowering, because I see that, I understand that they're using it as a pejorative and they're using it as a way to categorize people and throw people into a group to discredit you. But at the same time, I was like, well, maybe I think it's better to just own it, because I don't care if people call me that. I'm like, so I just tell them why. But at the same time, Mo was like, well, why don't you, because I was telling him about the anti-vaccinationists that were around in, that started since the invention of the Vaseline. They've been called, there have been anti and pro people against it. And they make it seem like it just started with like Jenny McCarthy and Andrew Wakefield, which is a fallacy, which is a lie, straight up propaganda, hoax, whatever. So, anyway, he was saying basically when you hear that word, people already have an image. They're programmed to have this image of what an anti-vaxxer is, and they shut down before you can even speak. So I'm going to start saying, for a project that I'm working on something, I'm going to title myself an anti-vaccinationist, because then it would give space for people to kind of think before shutting you down, and then you can explain like what it is and why you think the way. It basically buys you time.
Yeah, and also it makes people inquisitive to say, what's the difference? It followed up instead of being they follow a notion to say, oh, I know what that is. I know what an anti-vaxxer is. And then,
shut you off, right?
Right.
They'll just shut you off. So and trying to think of, there's still like, if somebody calls me that, I'm not going to break down and be like, don't call me that. Like, I don't care. But when I'm trying to talk to people, I think it is a better approach in a sense, because like you said, it buys time. It makes people inquisitive. You can make a distinction, because the word sorcerers, because this is sorcery, guys, make no doubt about it, they haven't been able to co-opt that word yet. So maybe it's a different way around that word. It's like another magic trick to basically block the sorcerers and get your magic in there, which is truth and information, right?
Right, and then we go to the definition. It says insult, speak to or treat with disrespect or scornful abuse. That's the verb. Noun, a disrespectful or scornful, abusive remark or action. And that's what they've turned anti-vaxxer into, is this disrespectful or scornful, abusive remark or action. It's just, they've loaded it up with this imagery of how they want it to be defined. And one of the things we can't do is let your opposition define who you are. That's a big thing that we have to be careful.
But I mean, like I said, we're just going back and forth. I will touche you. You get a touche for that.
Please.
But at the same time, they also have control over you, because you give it power. So if you give in and back down, so if I'm in a conversation and somebody calls me that, I'm going to be strong and I'm going to stand tall and I'm not going to back down, and still, maybe make my distinction. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm an anti-vaccinationist, and this is why. But also, people can't let that word like knock them down. It's like when Black people get called the N-word and then they lose their damn mind.
Correct.
What I mean? Like, you don't want people calling you that, but you also can't like cower when they do. So it's like, it's like somebody calls you the N-word and you're in a situation where, you can beat the crap out of them, and they had it coming because they're a jerk, but then you're in jail. You know what I mean? Like they
exactly. It's a trigger.
Yeah, it's a trigger word, right? But you can't let that word trigger you also.
And I see
strong and know where you stand. So even if they do call you that word or think they have control of you, but calling you that word, you can there's a way around it.
And I see it really being to their detriment using this term, because how do you call a person that took the first 2 shots and the booster but doesn't want to take the 4th one an anti-vaxxer?
Because it's religion. It's religion.
No.
You're criticizing their savior.
Listen to what I just said.
Jesus to people.
Hold on, back up and listen to what I just said. How would you call because they're going to try to do it. They're going to say, as soon as you don't want that 4th, 5th, 6th, choose your number, as I always say. Once you choose your number to stop, they're automatically going to hit you with the anti-vaxxer. And a person is going to sit around and say, hold on, I'm taking 3, 4, 5 of your Vaselines, right? Now you want to call me an anti-vaxxer, which I think this is going to play to their detriment to just paint with this wide brush. So it's not gonna end up well in their favor. So let's get into this second part of the definition, the noun. Go ahead.
Can I just add a little bit more?
Please. Yeah, go ahead and interject whenever you feel.
I was talking to this about, so the new variant that they have, is this the one that's coming out of Africa now?
Yes.
Okay, so also think about the stereotypes, right? So everything that comes from Africa is more violent, more toxic, more aggressive, right? Like the African.
It's black. It's the black variant. You know how it goes.
The Negro variants. Okay,
right.
Let's be real, right? Like that's what they're trying to. And then it's funny because on one side, these same people will be like, "Oh, the poor Africans. We need to go and help them because they're so poor and they're so ignorant and they don't know what they're like. They need the help of. They're so devolved and we need to help them." And then when they refuse the Vaseline because they've had decades of Bill Gates and other people going into their country and murdering them. I'm going to say murder because that's what it is. Not ashamed. Hello. All right. Murder. Okay. Murdering them with Vaselines. And, through the polio program, there was an incident even in the Middle East about 5 or 6 years ago where people were getting killed and they were murdering health workers because they had vaccination programs going into these third world countries. They were finding things in their Vaselines like HCG, which is basically a hormone that you inject and it basically causes women to miscarry. Okay, so I'm going on a tangent. But anyway, so now they're refusing this Vaseline and now these same people that are like, oh, the poor Africans, we care about them so much, they need our help. Now they're like, oh, those dirty, ignorant savages, they don't know better, blah, 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 right? They turn it around. So now you're like this savage, uncouth, unclean person. That's the insult too, right? Like you're devolved, you're not with the times, you're uncool, you're uncouth, you're unclean for not being Vaselines.
So can I ask this question? Because and I don't want to go too far, but this is a thought that just crossed my head. Now, whenever they have product, I'm just going to call it that, whenever they have product they can't sell, it's like, let's donate it, right? Let's donate it to the poor people that can't afford it. So could this be a tactic? And this is a short yes or no answer if you want to give it. But could this be a tactic to say, we got all this inventory and we got nobody to buy it? Let's donate it. Kind of like fast food at the end of the night, they take it to the homeless shelter and like, well, we couldn't sell it. So we'll give it away for free and then we'll write it off. Could this be a tactic that they could be doing with the whole Africa thing?
I'm laughing because you said the yes or no question. Come on, man. You know me by now.
I know.
Okay. I will just say, I'll try to make it succinct though.
No, you're fine.
Yes, at the lower levels, and I'm talking about the lower levels that are just worker bee scientists that are told what to do and they never question anything and they follow orders. So yes, on that level. But no on the upper echelons that know exactly what they're doing because it's all experimentation. So they can have these Vaselines that are spoiled and they're like, okay, well, we're not using them. We'll just give them to the other people. But they also put other things in those Vaselines too.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. That was my point that they could just use it as a write-off. Like, we can't sell it. So, it's gone bad. So let's just donate it.
I don't know where you are with your listeners or subscribers, but for me, I know that this goes beyond the bigger tier of just money and power. I think
of course it's control. It's control.
It's a spiritual war too, and I think that they want to break us down spiritually and physically. So they don't care, they don't care. They don't have the media, a lot of stuff. I might be able to have a few articles, but a lot of the negative stuff that's been written about Bill Gates and his program has been completely erased from the internet. It's really hard to find that information. So they don't care. It's just collateral damage to them. It's just, And for some reason, these people seem to really like to experiment on Black people the most before they implement their Black people, actually people of color too, Indigenous people, brown people. It just seems like that. I think they hate us all, but just from our research, it just seems like they're like, let's try it on the Black people first, and then we'll see how it works on the white people. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like
two things that this is to address how you say where we're at with the channel. One, we define witchcraft as nothing but control. When you try to control somebody, that's a form of witchcraft. So yes, I agree with you. This is bigger than money. This is bigger than power. Well, it is power. It's all about power. The power to control or use witchcraft to control people's minds and their thoughts. Two, another thing I always say is they start with us. They don't end with us, but they start with us. But best believe whatever test they run on us is coming to the masses later. Yeah. Because I think
people don't think you're safe. They're coming for you too, just so you know.
Right, and I've done plenty of shows on how they start with us, but it doesn't end there. It's just we're the beginning. So let's go ahead and get into the next.
Like, no,
right, it's like it's not, and that's what we had to. That's what we had to realize is that we're all in this together. It just hits us harder and first, but it doesn't stop with us, and I always stress that point. Let's go ahead and get into the third tactic of insult. I mean, it's going to be guilt.
No.
All right, guilt. So guilt, the definition now, it says the fact of having committed a specific or implied offense or crime. So that's the noun. Or verb, informal, it says make someone feel guilty, especially in order to induce them, in order to induce them to do something. Take it away.
I'm a bit confused because guilt and shame seem very similar to me. So how do we make that distinction?
Okay, guilt is, let's go back to the previous definition and we can game this out. Shame is what you feel. Mm-hmm. It's about it's the giver and the receiver, right? Mm-hmm. Shame is what you feel when they enact guilt upon you. Right, so I think that's the difference, is that you will feel the shame, but the guilt is the tactic that they try to make you feel shame.
Okay.
It's slightly different. It's a nuance.
Shame people too. Like, it's also a verb, right? So
yes.
So you can guilt people or you can shame people.
Right.
So let me see. What is the verb? I tried to shame him into giving some away. So you're trying to shame them. Maybe it's more making an example of people in the public, I would say.
Yes.
And then guilt is more maybe internal. There has to be some kind of distinction because they seem very similar to me. But I might have to even think on that later after the show. But go back to guilt, because I feel like it's still kind of the same tactics though as shame in this scenario, right?
Let's just read it here. Celeste had been guilted into going by. Celeste had been guilted into going by her parents. So.
It's like the coercion that they're doing where, like, if you don't get is that guilt though? I'm just being pedantic right now. It's like the guilt is like, it's kind of the same thing. If you don't get the Vaseline, you're killing people. Right. And then you feel guilty. Or, okay, how about this? You didn't get the Vaseline and your grandmother died, even though she was like 99.9 years old. And already had was on 10 different medications, but she still died because you didn't get the Vaseline. It's all your fault.
Right. So I would think that's how they use guilt in this scenario. And shame is like what could happen. Like, you realize if you don't do this, this could happen. But then the guilt is it actually happened. And now they want you to feel bad about it.
Shame is like you're a terrible person. You could kill somebody.
Right.
Guilt is like that person.
You killed grandma.
And it's all your fault.
Right. Okay. So I just want to bring that up. So guilt, let's see. And you see in the definition, it says, in order to induce them to do something. So I think that's the other thing with guilt is it's wielded in in a way to make you do something. Shame is just like, hey, you are this and it is what it is. This is like a mechanism or a trigger for you to have a desired effect on you or a desired outcome. So that's how I see the difference between those. But the point I'm just trying to make is this is the three of the tactics, and we'll get into the final ones shortly. But these are the tactics that they're using. Not them, but they weaponize people and radicalize. I'm going to use that word, radicalize people to be their agents, to go back what you were saying before. And that's why I want to slow you down, because you were spot on by saying these lizards have no real power over us. Yeah. What they have to do is radicalize the people close to us to be agents for their desired effect.
Yeah, and not only that, there's more of us than there are of them. So it's like, it's a small percentage of these controllers on the earth compared to the plethora of people. That's also, I don't know if you've talked about the Georgia Guidestones, but that's also why they want to diminish the population, right? So they have less people to fight back.
And just sheer mathematics, right? I mean, if we just say we're ruled by the 1%, right? If the 99% said we're not going to take it anymore, yeah, they could easily be neutralized. Let me use that word. But so they have to say, we need to find a wedge issue. And this is their language. We need to find a wedge issue that can polarize pretty much the 99% against each other. So we can go in and do business as usual while they're distracted with this issue that we've highlighted across our Mockingbird media. To get you sucked into this binary situation. And that's why I highlight binary, because that's the point of it. Yeah. And they keep going through these things, and it's so silly that they've gotten to the point like, do you wash the back of your dish? Yes or no? Do you wash your legs when you shower? Yes or no? Because they want to polarize people. Yeah. I mean, if you notice, polls are huge now, right? That's what they use. Polls. That's to polarize people into they want issues that result in an almost even divide. Democrat, Republican, red, blue, Bloods, Crips.
Right,
it's,
for sure.
And
I feel like this whole political thing has been like gang war,
black, white. Now it's nationalist, globalist.
And then it's like,
And that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because we saw these sign languages play out in the gender war, which is the gender war is the greatest war. It's the original war, because if you're a believer, Adam and Eve, right? He couldn't force Eve to eat the fruit. And this only highlights what you were saying before. They have no real power. So he had to use manipulation, i.e. witchcraft, to say, you sure you can't eat that fruit? You sure? And she's like, no, Adam told me I couldn't. How convenient Adam would tell you that. But I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying, that kind of thing. Like, you sure?
He's like, this is good.
Right. He was like, I wonder why Adam doesn't want you to eat that fruit. But you know what? That's none of my business. I'm going to go on. And he just left her with this, like, wow, why doesn't he want me to eat this? And there we are. We're right at that point of division. And that's why we see these sign languages being used, like I said, originally in the gender war, but it's the same tactics. It's just witchcraft. These are the things we use. Parents use it on their kids. And it used to be used in reverse, right? Parents like, well, I'm looking forward to you coming over for Thanksgiving. I guess you can't come. I'll just be here alone, and that's a form of witchcraft. But it was usually wielded that way. Now it's wielded in another way. You want to take over from there?
Yeah, when I think also too, people that do that, either I don't know, it depends on the person. I think some people are really scared, because they're they really believe that if you don't get the Vaseline, then you're going to bring disease and death to their house. And then there's some people that are just control freaks. They have, they're narcissistic. They have other issues that they're dealing with because, honestly, according to their science, if the Vaseline works, then why do you need to be vaccinated if you already got it? What is everybody else around you, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, that shows that they have control issues, right? They want everybody to do and agree with them and do everything that they do. And that's another layer of mental illness, I think, that some people have that issue. And I think that, I don't know if mental illness is a word. I think, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to say mental illness, but it also ties in with, if you, the Bible with the pride thing, right? The pride mm-hmm. thing and the whole, control. I think some people that do act like that, it's because they have control issues. Because I know people that got, the Vaseline too, and they're fine with other people that haven't gotten it. But if you're really you're willing to rip up your family, I was at a gathering and this lady was talking about her friend, and she was saying that basically she was supposed to go home for Thanksgiving, and the oldest sister of the family was like, I'm not going to have people at my house that are unvaccinated. So mm-hmm. if you're not Vaseline, then don't even bother coming over. That person just ripped up the family because nobody else had a problem with it until she said it, and she made that distinction, So it's mm-hmm. a spiritual war on that level too. What is she dealing with? Why does she have to be so controlling that she's going to kick somebody out of her house for not getting Vaseline when, she already had it? So why?
Ulterior motives is what you're saying.
Yeah.
They may have an ulterior motive. But
things, right? Or they feel like they need to be in control or power. Not necessarily even ulterior motives, but what about this person that's broken in them mm-hmm. that needs to not, break up their family? She just broke up the family. To me, you're breaking up you do that. You're hosting the holidays, but you're being discriminatory against certain family members just because they're not doing what you think they should do. And it's not even a threat to you. Mm-hmm. What's your issue? You're crazy.
And that's why you have to seek first to understand, then to be understood. We really have to ask that question, why is this a big deal to that person? What is the real underlying issue with that person? And if we can hear them out, and come in. Go ahead.
There are people that think like that too because they feel like they need to punish these people for not being in the herd, right? So this punishment. They're going to be punished. I'm going to punish this person because they're a conspiracy theorist and they're not. They're causing this and that, and they need to be punished. And we're not going to. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to deal with that. So nobody else is saying anything. So I'm going to be the one to tell them they can't come over.
Okay. It's power. It's power at the end of the day.
So it's like they've gotten the spirit of power too. It's kind of like they're being turned into the elites,
agents of control. And we see this with the sheriff, right? The sheriff of Nottingham, he's delegated power from the king to say, hey, go, I'm going to put you on a horse above the commoners, and give you a little bit of power. Now you wield that power, and just to use the race narrative. Overseers. Overseers.
Could you highlight this comment where Natasha Kayleen, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. She says, when people want to control others, they have chaos internally. I totally agree with that. Do you see that?
Yeah, I highlighted it on the screen. Yeah, so that's a great point, and that's why we have to listen empathetically to say, and people say, oh man, empathy is for rookies. I don't have no empathy. We crush our enemies. No, the best way to win a war is with intel. Is to say, okay.
It's true, but there are also people that, you can have too much empathy and let people walk all over you. I'm about finding that balance.
Okay.
Because I feel like that I've had empathy or been open too much and it's been a detriment. So you got to find that balance, And this is where, let me take this back too, where I did a video talking about alone on Thanksgiving, and I was blessed. I had my friend invite me over. this Thanksgiving with her family. It was great.
Can I stop you there? Because that's going to be a great story for where I'm headed. Can I hate keeping stop you, but I think it will fit better to where I'm headed. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
No, because I want to make this where that's where that, and I'm gonna have to get you a pair of goggles because you were just so ahead of me right now and where I'm going, but that's great because that's mean we're on the same wavelength here. So let's go ahead and get into the final end, and that's the need to be right. So this is from changingminds.org. It's not really a definition as far as need to be right because that's not like something that you can define in like the dictionary. But it says here, for the most part, it says most people have a need to be right. Whatever they say, they want it to be true and for other people to accept it as being true. At the very least, they want to avoid appearing wrong. So that goes back into guilt and shame, right? If they appear to be wrong, then they're going to feel guilty or feel ashamed. And that also opens them up to be insulted themselves. So this is the sign language being turned 180 degrees against them. And it also says that's very little writing. So let me open it up bigger on my screen over here, because I'm going to need some reading glasses here soon. It says for this purpose, one of the two strategies tend to be used. One way is to strongly assert things we say to be true, sending an unspoken message that we will not tolerate challenge. You want to address that first strategy, and then we'll get into the second strategy. So the first one way is to strongly assert things we say to be true, sending an unspoken message that we will not tolerate challenge.
I think a lot of people kind of see me like that until they get to know me. Then I'm honorary, right? I'm really strong in my opinions, but you tell me something, I'll listen, right?
Of course, because you.
Yeah.
But I had to, and then just go of the exercise of seek first to understand, then to be understood. I had to hear you out about anti-vaccinationists versus anti-vaxxer, right? I had to listen empathetically to see where you were coming from. That way I could find a nuanced way to deliver my message to why I think, not why I think, but how it could be harmful in a harmful way to discredit you. So that's what we have to do, is to listen empathetically so we can deliver that message in a more loving way. I could be like, you know what? Virstyne, you wrong. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they gonna tear you up. You say you anti-vax. You know what I'm saying? And you try to use shame and guilt. So. Oh, you want to get into this? Go ahead.
The need to be, people will die for the need to be right. Literally, people will die.
Yes.
For the need to be right. I don't know. Like, am I gonna die? I don't know. I feel like
I'm pretty sure you are. Yeah. I'm sure we all gonna die. I'm taking the over on that one. So I'm joking.
I constantly, but I think, when in my PDF, one of the first things I say, I give first, it's about 8 pages, and I have links and I have supplements, recommendations, all that stuff. But one of the first points I give is forgive yourself. If you've been talking to person and taking this vaccine, because a lot of people don't want to feel like they've made the wrong decision or be wrong. And I think, to me, that's also just the journey of speaking up, or when that begins the journey of truth, right? Like when I started my podcast with my best friends, we would talk about this all the time, is like how we really had to think about how we've been lied to, and how, it was a shock to our ego and a hurt to our ego, because, we had believed we were like on the other side of things. And now we kind of see the light based on our experience, based on research, not just watching and listening to what the TV says. And then there's just kind of this resentment for people that just follow the crowd and don't think critically. And I feel like, we're doing all this work. It's like the red hen, the story of the red hen.
No, you want to enlighten us?
It's like a fairy tale. So this red hen, she's like walking through the forest one day and she sees some weeds, and she has a roommate. She lives with like 4 other animals, like a pig, a cow, a roach, I don't know, whatever, like whatever, not a roach, but I'm saying, like different animals. So she brings this wheat home. She cuts it. No, she was like, "Hey, I found some wheat in the forest. Who wants to help me to help me cut it down?" And they're like, "Not I, not I, not I." So she goes and she gets a sickle. She cuts it down. She brings it home. She's like, "Hey, I cut it down. Who wants to help me like mill it into flour?" And they're like, "Not I, not I, not I." Then she makes bread with no. And then she's like, "Okay, who wants to help me make bread?" And they're like, "Not I." So then she makes the bread, and then they all come out, and they're like, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" She's like, "Wait a minute, where were you at? You like, I asked you to help me cut it. I asked you to help me turn the flour. I asked you to help me make bread, but you guys just sat around and did nothing." And I kind of feel like it's like that in a sense where, like, as a truther, you do a lot of work. You do a lot of research. You talk to people. I feel like I've put so much work into this. And
no. Let me stop you right. Let me stop you right there. Don't feel like it. You have put a lot of work. I want to give you all the credit.
Yeah.
You have put a lot of work into this. Proceed.
I have put a lot of work into this too. But the people that are just going by the narrative, all they do is watch TV, like the chicken's roommates. They were sitting around watching TV and doing nothing, and now they want to, act like they're the ones that are right and make you feel bad and call you the conspiracy theorist. And, that's that kind of like resentment there. But I think for me, I constantly check myself, and I do like kind of try and put myself in their shoes. But I always keep going back to the other side because I see the results of what's happening. For instance, I knew about the mask. I knew because I have a lot of allergies, and I knew about triggers and stuff. So even before this corona thing, I knew that those masks had fibers in it that I couldn't wear. So I worked hard on my health. So meaning I've done a lot of research into triggers, into food, into all this stuff to help me either avoid or to add to my diet or my lifestyle to get me healthy. Now, these people are getting they're wearing the mask, they're getting sick, they're getting tooth problems, they're getting lung problems. But I see by the results that I'm the one that's reaping the benefits because I have the knowledge. I know that it's not good to wear those masks because it can cause all kinds of health problems. By the way, you get tooth infections, you can get it can lead to nerve damage, which can lead to other serious health problems. So you want to mess with your teeth. It's not just a vanity thing. It's something that can go deeper and give you
like heart issue. It could cause heart issues. Yeah,
I had a friend that had tendinitis. You can really be serious. It's not the smile says so much more about you than just having nice teeth, right? It also is an indicator of good health in different ways. But I digress. So
now you bring up fat. I just want to just quickly touch on that. Maybe that's why we judge people's teeth so. It's an important part of judging people because we look at their oral health and make quick assumptions about people. Maybe that's baked in from like years and decades and centuries of seeing like, hey, this person has bad teeth. I know what comes along with that. But we kind of lost the reason why we're kind of hesitant about people.
Cosmetic, right?
Right. We just think it's cosmetic, but we, subconsciously we might realize something else is there, but we don't know the reason why we are like hesitant about people like that. Your story about the red hen, that just reminds me of the prodigal son. I'm just going to run people through that.
Tell me about that one. Yeah.
So basically you had two brothers, right? And one brother was like, hey, I want my inheritance now. He went to the father, I want my inheritance now. And he gets his inheritance. His father reluctantly gives it to him. He goes out to the city, blows his inheritance. Like they knew he would, the other brother and the father knew he would. And he got to the point where he was working, feeding pigs, and he decided to eat with the pigs. That's how poor he was. And then it dawned on him that I can go home and be a servant for my father, and have a better living than this. And when he returns home, his father receives him home and throws him a party and, kills a cat, one of the best calves, and gives him a ring and a cloak. And, and the reason why I bring this up is the brother that stayed, his heart grew hard. And like, I've been here the whole time and I've been doing the right thing, and you accept him back, and I've been doing the right thing. He went and blew his inheritance. And the father was like, you realize your brother's alive, and we thought he was dead. So the whole point I'm trying to make is it's going to be people that make decisions that we think are wrong, but we can't let our heart grow hard towards them. Now, I understand what you're saying. There is some health concerns with being acceptant of people that may have a decision that we disagree with. But at the same time, as believers, and I'm just going to say this as a believer, Jesus went in with the leopards. You know what I'm saying? Leprosy was a real thing then. He was like touching them and healing them, like, oh yeah, yep. Lady with the blood issue, yep, let me get you some over there. You know what I'm saying? The leper, let me get you some over there. The crazy man, he got all the spirits with him, bring them on. We don't care. You know what I'm saying? He could have been like, you know what, this crazy lunatic might kill me.
Yes, come on. He was Jesus. Yeah, I know Jesus. People's eyes turn black. I'm out.
No, but what I'm saying is, the point I'm trying to make is that he said you will do greater works than me. So that says every power he had in him. And I don't want to make this a religious statement, but I'm just trying to make the point of, if we live in, we say, fear is just a thing of our imagination, or if we start to believe in fear, it can manifest itself into the reality. We have to check that in his head, you know what I'm saying, in our head. Right, we have to check that in our head, like, no. It's people that go, it's doctors and nurses that go in every day that work with things that are deadly, but they, you know what I'm saying, they still need to show compassion towards people. And it might be things that people brought on themselves by their own decision, hepatitis, get dirty needles, whatever else. But it's like these people need to be helped. So that's the only point I'm trying to make, is just don't let our hearts grow hard, because it may have a real impact on our own health as well, in the sake of isolation.
But I will have to say that I've had to cut off my brother and my uncle because they have been so adamant and so judgmental and so mean about my beliefs that it was driving me crazy. And I think that sometimes you may need to do that too. I mean, for me, initially I felt bad at the thought of doing it, but at this point, it was like driving me crazy to being judged and being like ridiculed all the time, that I had to separate myself from them for my own peace of mind.
And I totally agree with you. Nobody should endure abuse at the sake of trying to help people. That's not my point. What I'm saying is, you try to help people, but if you're casting your pearls before swine, you realize it's not beneficial, then you dust your shoes off and you keep on moving, right? Now getting back to the need to be right, they were saying the other way, they may, assert that the need to be right is to use qualifiers in what we say. For example, saying something might happen, so when it does not, we can say we did not say it would happen. I'm going to say it one more time. The other way is to use qualifiers in what we say. For example, saying something might happen. Like if we give our way, a weasel way out, right? Or they give their way, a weasel way out. Like, well, we didn't say for certain. They use words like might. That way, if it doesn't happen, then they can say we didn't say it would happen. You want to touch on that right quick, and then we can move on to the final portion of what my concern is with this whole situation.
So you're saying just be open to change, where like you have a definitive, or you not to have a definitive outcome, but just, have a scenario where you think something could happen. And if it doesn't, you can be open to the fact that you basically could be wrong.
No, I guess what they're saying is the people that use the need to be right, they'll never just give you a yes or no. They'll be like, well, it's a 99% chance. Yeah,
they're moderates because they don't really have a mind of their own and they're not strong in their convictions. So
right, they'll hedge their bets to say a 95% chance, 99% chance, and then if it doesn't happen, like, well, we did say it was a 1% chance it could go the other way. So
that's inner turmoil stuff too, though, I think, because it's like, okay, well, it's like when you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great point. And
so that's on those people. It's really, this whole situation has constantly been testing my faith. It's been testing my resilience because, I've lost a lot of friends along this truth journey because I've been doing this for about 10 years. And within this last year, I lost even more. And even if it's people that I thought we were on the same wavelength, I've lost because, the slivers were the chasms were made even deeper in society. But it's really tested me. And, what was the question? But sometimes I'll like, have thoughts and I'll think and am I being too harsh or am I being too am I being too rash, but I'm just very, and then I'm like, well, I guess for me, it just comes down what's important to me. My health is more important to me than to be, because I feel like, bottom line, without my health, I have nothing. Doesn't matter. All these people that talk about, guns and prepping and all this stuff, that's very important too. And I'm learning that stuff. But if you can't pick up a gun because you have nerve damage or brain damage,
and they're prepping with Cheetos. That's the funny thing about it. Like they're prepping with Cheetos and Mountain Dew. Right. And it's like, hold on, like.
Oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna make a note of that because maybe I need to make a prepper list, a healthy prepper list. You're right.
Yeah, because you see people that's prepping, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm prepping, and I do have some ramens. I do have some ramens in the stash. Don't get me wrong, because ramens is something that you can stack up on for cheap, and they hold pretty well, but. As it's like, what are you prepping for? Like a cardiac arrest? I mean, like some of the stuff that you got in your prepper.
It's not sustainable. You're right. I actually made a list. Maybe I should do like a prep list for healthy people or autoimmune. But I couldn't prep with Mountain Dew and Cheetos because I'd have reactions and stuff, and I still have food sensitivities and stuff, and that's not good for anybody anyway. But I'm just saying for me, I'm real sensitive to that. So I don't even have junk food in my prepper stash. And that's a good point. And you're right. You're right about that. Right. You're like, yeah, get Mountain Dew and Cheetos. I know that stuff's good, but now you might want to have a little bit just so you're saying, but, need to be right. I want to wrap this up as far as on this article. Okay. This is from changingmind.org that you see on your screen here. And it was funny. It says, and I just want to quickly point this out. It said related to part of control. And as we said, define witchcraft as control. So need to be right is a clear sign of maybe somebody's trying to invoke some kind of spell on you. So I wanted to just say that and then get to the final portion of the show. I have a clip. Go ahead. I would just kind of run there. I don't necessarily think that people really even realize in the sense what they're doing. And I think even people that were like, okay, for instance, when Corona happened, I have asthma. I have a history of having asthma attacks, allergies and stuff. So when this happened, my family members, and I was posting stuff about how the masks are BS and they're stupid. And I had family members that were calling me like, you need to wear one. They're like, you of all people need to be wearing a mask. And I think that they honestly thought that they were doing a good thing. I think that they honestly thought that they were concerned. And to me, that kind of goes back to the mind control situation because, they're so right. They're like the news organizations can't possibly be lying to me. And you need to listen to me because you're putting yourself in danger. You're going to die. And lo and behold, I'm still alive. And lo and behold, a lot of those people have gotten the flu, gotten sick, gotten lung infections because they were wearing the mask. How did I bring that up? I meant to bring that up for a certain reason and I totally forgot.
So just to,
sorry,
okay.
Don't curse. Kids don't curse. Okay, go on.
So just to reel you back in, the whole point of why we did this show, just to remind people one more time what is going on here. Hold on. The whole point of this show, just to remind people what the topic in the beginning topic was, is surviving hard decisions and division. Because we want people to survive this thing. And my fear is my fear is the bigger concern is not with the coof, the Rona, whatever you want to call it, but isolation.
That will kill people. Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Well, you said it best. I have this clip here that's from an expert, quote unquote expert, about isolation. You want to get into it, and then we could talk about it on the back side?
Oh, you want to play the clip?
Yes.
Yeah, play it.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm Lisa Berkman, and I'm director of the Harvard Center for Population and Development Studies, and I've been at Harvard since 1995, working in departments that have been really concentrated on understanding the ways in which social conditions influence health outcomes. So among the most important of those conditions are those that have to do with social isolation. And I think we live in a country where many, many, many more people are socially isolated than have to be. And it became an important interest of mine very early on. Actually, when I was doing my doctoral dissertation, I did it on the health effects of social isolation. And what we found was that people who were socially isolated, that is, people who were either not married or didn't have many friends and relatives or didn't belong to voluntary or religious organizations, had a mortality risk that was about 3 times as high as people who had many more sources of contacts. And one of the amazing things about this study was that it wasn't any one thing that was really determining in terms of your health risk. It was the composite. So if you...
Yeah.
Did it stop? Hold on. It stopped for a reason.
Done, sorry.
No, something happened here. Let me see if I can play it again. What? We'll just go ahead and go with it. And just for some reason it stops. So I have this article, 12 Ways to Embrace Living Alone, but living alone is a real health concern. I know they were talking about this in England pre the Rona. Of the elderly people just perishing due to, not having family come check on them.
Top that.
No, go ahead. That's why I said, Allie did go ahead and open it home.
You can probably find, I don't know the name of the experiment, but they basically, I don't know if you heard this experiment. I think it was like in the 1920s or something, where they took these, I think it was in Russia. I might be wrong about all of that. I know it was done. Okay. Anyway, they took these orphans. Mm-hmm. And they basically orphaned babies, and they fed them, and they changed them, but they didn't hold them or talk to them, and they all died around the same time. And they thought it was a fluke, and they did it again. And the babies, these are babies, right now, elderly people, and they died again. They didn't acknowledge them, but they fed them, right? They fed them and changed them, but they didn't talk to them. And they all ended up dying.
Excuse me. And you see this phenomenon in rest homes where people may be living with elderly people, may be living with with the kids or whatever, but they get to the point where their kids can't really, keep up with them as much, and they put them in rest homes, and shortly after that, they come to their end. So I just want to warn people the dangers of being isolated, and this is even for younger people as well, because I talked about this Khalif Broderick situation. He was a teenager, and he was locked up in solitary confinement for many, many days and weeks, even months, and it caused mental health issues. This is not something only with the elderly. Sometimes we think about that, but with the whole Rona situation, people are working from home, so you don't have that work family. You're isolated from your family as far as like, don't come over here. The holidays only exacerbated, but it could be an everyday thing, like where you're not going to Sunday dinner, or your friends might not give you a call, or whatever else. And what I want to do is, I never want to leave anybody in a state of doom and gloom.
Yeah.
So I have.
We're spiritual creatures. We need each other, and these. I want to curse so bad. These people,
lizards.
These MFers know exactly what they're doing by also doing that. Look at this. Look, check this out. Remember, think about this too. When the pandemic hit, right? You couldn't go outside. They don't want us talking to each other. Not only so we can't figure things out, but because they know that would keep our immune systems and our mental health together, right? So the fact that people are sitting up in their house scared, it's messing them up. They're easily controlled, right? The strip clubs were open, though. The liquor stores were open, but the gyms were closed. Costco was open, right? But the public pools were closed. Just things like that.
And you know what else was closed? You know what else was closed? And then this was a lot of people's social anchor is churches.
Oh, thank you. That's what I meant to say, too. Churches.
And I highlighted this because
but the strip clubs were, okay?
Right. And that was a funny thing because, you saw pastors coming out and saying, hold on. Like you were saying, highlighted that the bars are open, the strip clubs are open, but the churches are not open. And for people that may not understand it is, the church is the social club for a lot of elderly people. That's their one event for the week that they can say, okay, I can go, I can sing, I can clap my hands, I can get a good word, I can go see sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so. And in church, we used to have this list called the sick and shut in, where it was like, people that couldn't make it out, they would go visit them to say, we need to keep them, lifted up and that kind of thing. And I see now it affects the elderly because they don't have that one outing of church. It affects the young because they, just to re-highlight my point I was making, that work was your one outing. But now that you're working from home, excuse me, you're isolated from your work family. So you might go days without human interaction, and then you're locked in. And the reason why I'm bringing this seriously up is a real chance we're headed back to that again. So I want to really help people, have a game plan together so you don't become a victim of isolation.
Yeah.
That's the real purpose of this. So now what I want to do is I have the 12 ways of embracing living alone. I'm going to put 6 on the screen. Live chat. You help me watch the live chat, and they're going to give solutions. I'm a solution-based person. I'm not a doomer and gloomer. I don't relinquish my power over to other people. So if there's a will, there's a way. As you say, knowledge is the best weapon against this. So we have to be knowledgeable of how do we combat loneliness, because loneliness is a killer. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up.
Right. And once our spirit goes, we don't need these bodies anymore.
Exactly. And you just give up. I think people can easily give up the will to live. So roughly the last 15, 20 minutes, I don't know how long I have you. Yeah. But I want to go through these 12 ways. I'm going to do 6 and then 6 more. Live chat. This is where the interactive portion. I know you thought we forgot about you, but we didn't. I left that segment, the last segment, open up a little longer than normal because I want this to be completely interactive. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and put the first 6 on there. I'm just going to read through it for the people that may be listening but not watching. Number 1, get to know yourself better. Number 2, strengthen your relationships. Number 3, identify when you feel most lonely. Number 4, consider a pet. Number 5, connect with your community. And number 6, add some structure. So start off where you want to, if you want to do them in order, or if you have one that you want to really highlight. And live chat, I'll watch the live chat as well. Please put the number and any suggestions that we could help each other execute these first 6. So I'll watch the chat. You go ahead and take whichever one you want to take, Virstyne.
I'll take one of the get to know yourself better, identify. Get to know yourself better.
Go ahead. Knock it. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is your time to shine. This is your time to shine.
So yeah, get to know yourself better. I feel like this is probably I have friends, a lot of my friends live an hour away from where I live. I live in Austin, but most of my friends got the heck out of Austin. And this is probably one of the loneliest times I've ever been in my life. And I'm a social person. I can be by myself, but I like people too. So, but, I've gotten, I've made, I read more, I meditate more. There are things that you can do by yourself and it will strengthen you. In my, the last rant that I did on Vaseline alone on Thanksgiving, I basically was saying, if you do spend a day, if you're not around your family, if you've taken the path to health and you've chosen not to be with your family, if they've ostracized you for not getting Vaseline, do something that you've been wanting to do. Go camping. There are lots of things you can do by yourself, which is fun. You can go camping by yourself. You can hiking by yourself. You can start that book you wanted to write, because it's hard to write when there are people around. Catch up on books or movies, make it fun. Listen to a lot of humorous stuff, good music. I mean, it might sound corny. I don't know.
No, it doesn't sound corny. And let's just go here, Natasha. I'm just gonna. You said number one for you is number one, so get to know yourself better. Let's just go to the live chat now. Number 4, Natasha says, number 4, which is consider a pet. She says, I never had, but since I started being a nanny, they have a kitten and a dog, and I love them so much. And I'll say
they're a lot of work.
they are a lot of work, but you know what?
But it's been proven that people that have been given pets and animals too, like if they're sicker, they'll live longer. My aunt died of cancer, and or I should say cancer treatments, but that's a whole other show. She died of cancer treatments, and when she was diagnosed, her neighbor gave her this Chihuahua, and it just made her quality of life so much better.
And it's funny because people used to poo-poo those emotional support animals.
Animals are great.
No, but see, this is what I have. This is where binary is very dangerous. You remember it was those snowflakes. They need emotional support animals. But no,
given like stuffed animals. You're talking about stuffed animals.
No, I'm talking about they were having like emotional support goats and emotional support horses and these kind of things, and it became like a joke. But I'm just showing you how dangerous binary is because when you go to the extremes. Go ahead.
I would say it is kind of a joke in that situation because they're also, I think it's dangerous to play to their psychological, emotional fragility instead of actually helping them to get stronger, because that's just kind of like placating them and coddling them instead of addressing the real ways. In that situation, I'm saying instead of addressing the real reason why they were so emotional fragile.
But no, I'm just saying the dangers of binary though, because a lot of people would say, when you say, my animal gives me emotional support, but you a snowflake. You know what I'm saying? You need a dog or you need a cat. Man up, that kind of thing. But
people that were crying and shit because like Trump won the election, like those people, that's they need psychological help.
No, that was the extreme to represent all emotional support animals, and that's what I'm saying. That's what.
Okay, I know, but generally, yeah, it's great. I love other people's animals, but they're also a lot of work, and I like to travel and stuff, and I'll take care of my friends' animals, and I love but for me personally, I'm just like, woo.
And I was, and you bring up another great point that you shouldn't get a dog or a cat just for yourself. Understand that is a reciprocal relationship that you have to love the animal itself. It's just not you.
You have to take care of it. Like I consciously know that I don't want to be taking care of a dog. And I see so many people that get animals because they need emotional support, but they treat them like crap. They don't walk them enough. You got to take the dogs to the vet. You got to walk them. You got to feed them good food, not junk food, because then you're going to have other problems, health problems. So it's a huge responsibility. It's one that I don't want yet.
Okay, so Pretty says, Pretty says, consider a pet ? Why not adopt a child or volunteer your time to a social cause, a homeless shelter, i.e. Yeah, no, we're not saying one is greater than the other. We're just going through these are not ranked. These are, and I have another 6 loaded up. I'm going to load up soon. Yeah.
Sorry, I like that one because considering adopting a child. Okay, that's a lot of work too, but I like this one. Volunteering your time to a social cause, homeless shelter. Yes, that's great. You know, one of the things that I've learned, when you feel like crap, the best thing you can do is do something nice for someone else.
Yes. I'm just going to speed through these. So Perverted says...
It's a win-win because they feel better and you feel better. And it's reciprocal. Yep. That's the best. I think is that on the list? Because
no, it's awesome. What's that?
Somebody said that though. You know, the homeless do volunteer work, you know?
Yes, I think, and let's see, get back to nature. No, that's connect with your community. That'll be number 5. Connect with your community. I think that will fall under that because, you know, homeless shelters, you know, those kind of things, the homeless. Yeah. So I would think that would fall under that. I'm going to go through these right quick, and I'm glad everybody's participating. Perverted says number 6.
You don't even have to go volunteer to shelter. You can do something for your neighbor or do something for one homeless people. Like, you know, I had this big birthday cake, and all I wanted was a gluten-free birthday cake. And instead of eating off of it for the rest of the week, because it was huge, I went and I gave it out to the homeless. And it was great. And they appreciated it because a lot of people, they give them scraps or they don't get, you know what I mean? But to have like a birthday cake, they were like so happy.
And if you happen to have a job, I know a lot of times people, their jobs donate turkey, give turkeys or hams. If you're still lucky to have a job in these times, maybe pay that forward and say, you know what, donate that to a family or you know, that kind of thing, or like what is it, adopt a family kind of thing where you take the name off the tree. These, like I said, these all are good things, but I want to get to some more of the numbers. Perverted says number 6, add some structure. So this is something I had to do. I'm just going to give some feedback on this. Once I was on my extended vacation from my current employer, I cleared my schedule off and reset it. Now, of course, I'm not lonely because I have a wife and kids, but structure is definitely necessary for good mental health. Because if I didn't have anything to do with my time, or I just kind of like floated around and didn't have any structure, I could see that being very problematic as it goes along. So let me see if anybody else said, you want to take another number, or let me go through this. Tabby Charlie said number 1 is most important. He agrees with you. What's up, Ty?
And said this is a good comment I see. I agree. It's Davy Jones. If you don't know yourself, you are vulnerable to other people telling you who you are. Very true.
Yes. So we have to define ourselves.
Trying to strengthen yourself, strengthen your inner being. It's not the worst being by yourself. Not like, maybe you're not going to want to be by yourself forever, but at this point in time, take it as an opportunity to strengthen your inner being, you know, to get to know yourself better. I think you'll appreciate it later. And believe it or not, you'll start to attract more quality people, whether it's friends or people, potential dating partners.
Yes.
I've noticed, you know.
Okay. Mars said
people like strong will. People are attracted to happier, strong-minded people.
Smiling people. Like you were saying before, the smile is very important because it reflects something deeper than just dental oral health. Mars Soul says, recall your day as you go to sleep. The trick is to do it in reverse. Start in the present and go back to when you wake in the morning. That's a great advice. And this is why the Facts family, and just go, I'm going to move on to the second set, but number 5. Connect with your community. The Facts family is a community. Virstyne is our sister. She comes over here and we embrace her, and she comes and blesses us with her knowledge and all the work that she's done. Your ability to recall, and not only just recall and regurgitate facts, but also to place them in the proper context. That's a gift, and I want to just give you your flowers while you're living on that part.
Not good. So, Marcel, I want to add to what he said. There's also a thing you can do. It's called segment intending. But when you wake up in a few hours in the morning, kind of predicts the positive things that you want to happen in your day. How you want your day to go too. You can do that in reverse before when you wake up too, right? That's doing it in reverse, but you can do that. You can also do that. And I forget to do it sometimes, but I feel like when I do it, I do have a better day.
So you're saying project it out when you wake up, project how your day is going to go in your mind.
Yeah, in the positive way, right? Try not to think of like bad things that's going to happen, but yeah.
I got you. Let's see. Natasha, she says one more thing. Number one, and I'm going to get to the last six just for sake of time. Like I said, I don't want to hold you up too long. I know I held you long enough already, but she said getting to know yourself better includes doing things that are the opposite of your nature. One of my mentors said his sister found out she was a great painter because she actually tried it. Yeah, step outside. So let's go ahead and get into that. The last slide. Let's see here. I put number 6 up there, both add some structure. I think that's very important. You have to have a structure in your life. You want to pick one of these, number 7, try new things. I think that goes to the great segue into what Natasha was saying. Challenge yourself, try new things. Number 8 is create your ideal space. Number 9, prioritize wellness, which I think is number 1 probably for you, and rightfully so.
I think in my rant that I did, I was talking about that. I was talking about getting to know yourself better, trying new things, right? And then also getting back to nature. I think I almost want to put that one up there with number 1 because I really feel like these controllers, they're basically trying to get us away from nature. And I went camping and last weekend, and then for Thanksgiving I was by the beach, and I feel like it just does something spiritually to you, to your energy, to get away from all this electricity and concrete and to be in nature. It really does heal you.
And you know what? And people are like, they'll put it off and say, well, I'll wait till I go to the beach, or I'll wait till I have time to go camping or hiking. No, go outside. I would say instead of just getting back to nature, that can start with just going outside.
Sit under a tree. I'm not kidding.
Yes. Take your shoes off. I know I was going to sound trippy hippie on this one. Take your shoes off. Let the grass get between your toes.
It's called earthing.
Yes. And grounding as well. I think it grounds you as well, right?
But it's a term for it called earthing. Look up earthing.
Okay.
Right? Where you basically take off your shoes, connect to the ground, look at the sun. We're creatures of nature, and we're constantly being programmed to get away from nature because, that's kind of the whole shaming thing. I'm like, oh, you're a creature of nature and you're primitive and stuff. But it's not bad to be primitive. That's where we get our strength. We're creatures of God. God is Mother Nature. And they're trying to detach us from that.
And I know somebody out there, I'm gonna play the contrarian once again. I know somebody heard you say Mother Nature, like Mother Gaia, oh, she's a witch. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. I know my people. So if you were thinking that, I think she was using the term Mother Nature. I don't want to put word in your mouth, but I think you're using the term as far as embracing nature in its natural sense. But and the thing was
creating nature.
That's why I was about to. You beat me to the punch.
Nature has everything we need. Nature has everything we need. We're getting away from that, and that's why we're dependent. Like these controllers, like they want to be God. They want to be, they want to be the controllers. They want to get us to worship them. And, nature is God's creation. So the further away that we get from that, we have all this technology and it's cool and stuff, but we also have a lot of mental problems as a result. We have a lot of other like psychological, spiritual problems as a result of all this technology that we're dependent on. And, God forbid, I'm not trying to be like, what's the word? I'm not trying to be like a pessimist, but I really don't think that this is going to last us forever. So we're, I'm banking on I'm a little bit, I should say a lot of it, but try not to be discouraging, but I'm banking on the fact that what we have, these computers and all this, that it might not last forever. So
well, if you're going to bet on things, technology or nature, you might as well bet on nature because that's the one that's going to last the longer.
Exactly. That's right. One thing for certain, right?
Because a solar flare could happen tomorrow and we would all be back dependent upon nature and electronics and everything would be done.
Other things, right? Like it could happen.
But let's get back to the list. Let's get back because we could be here for 5 hours. Davy Jones. Yeah. So Davy Jones is number 7. It says one thing that helped me is just start things. Yeah, I agree. As app to endless planning, I guess in lieu of just endless planning, waiting for the right moment. That's that paralysis of analysis that you were speaking about. Sometimes nothing happens unless you just jump in the deep end and learn to swim. And that goes back to the 7 habits. The first habit, be proactive. You just got to get in there and muck it up sometimes. Sometimes we want to analyze and wait for the best situation. Miss Ravioli says number 9, which is prioritize well, which goes to the 7 habits of put first things first, set priorities. She said prioritize wellness, which that's what you're saying. Your thing is put your health first because you know what? If you don't have health, you ain't got nothing else. So that's
exactly. That's why I'm like, it's funny. I look at some of these guys and, I'm in Texas and including myself, a lot of Texans they have guns and and they're like guns, the guns, you got it, the guns. And I'm like, that's great. But if you can't pick it up because you're sick, then what's the point?
Right. And that goes back to the prepping thing, right? If you're prepping bad food, how long you will last off of noodles and Cheetos and Mountain Dew? But okay, Pretty says 11, traveling in general, inter-county or international, especially ADOS, needs to travel more to experience different perspectives. And I found this, I don't want to quote the number because I don't know it right offhand, but it was disturbing to me how many people haven't left their city or their state and how that number is growing. Get in the car and go over to the next county, find interesting things. There's museums in your town that you haven't even been into. There's great things in your city that you haven't even looked at. Go ahead.
I've been on 2 road trips during Corona. I've been on 2 road trips. I drove to DC and then I drove to South Dakota. With friends, not by myself, but still, like I was just like, especially now since they're making people who are unvaccinated, making it hard for them to travel outside of the country or get back in. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm somewhere overseas and I can't get back in because I won't take the Vaseline. I'm getting used to trying to find things that I can do right now within the country. Right. Mm-hmm. On my bucket list, start my bucket list. What can I do on my bucket list that's within my scope of living?
And that's a great idea. I mean, you just sparked the idea in my head, but maybe you need to make a bucket list of things I want to visit in my city, things I want to visit in my state, and things I want to visit in the United States. These things are and then once you cross it off, put another thing, something else I want to see in my city. Maybe it's just a restaurant. Maybe it's that, a restaurant you roll past every day and we get into this loop of eating the same things. It's like, you know what? I'm going to try something new. Number 7, try something new. I think that number 7, try something new and also getting back to nature and getting out and what was it? I want to go back a little bit. Is connect with your community. I think all those could play into with each other. But okay, any more numbers I see here? I don't see any. I think that traveling inner county is a great idea. And I'm guilty of this myself. I live less than an hour away from Washington, D.C. And I'm embarrassed to say how many museums I haven't been to. It's really or sites or things that I should have seen by now that I haven't because I'm not. Just not, and I have to do better with that.
You're lame. No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, exactly. No, you know what it is? I say, well,
you're working, you're fathering, you have kids. That's what it is.
Well, I can't use that as an excuse either. You know what it is? It's that we think things are always going to be there.
Yeah, you take stuff for granted, and I'm
take stuff for granted, and I want to wrap that up. I want to wrap up on this point. Don't take things for granted. You know, if you're that person saying, "Well, you can't come over," you know what I'm saying, unless you're this or that, that might be the last time that grandma might get to see her grandkids. That might be the last time you might get to see two elder sisters or elder brother and sister together for that photo opportunity. And, you know, because the photos are important because you look back on them 10 years from now and say, oh, man, I remember that. And the stories start to get told again, right? You know, I remember that experience. So don't rob yourself of experiences out of fear. I'm going to say that one more time. Don't rob yourself out of experiences out of fear. Now, be cautious, be smart, be wise, but don't act out of fear. Let's see.
Another show. I know we gotta go. Maybe I can talk about that next time.
I know, and like I said, I always appreciate you coming. You want to wrap up? You know, promote one more time. Let me put your PDF on the screen and also your information. So go ahead and promote your efforts and your. Yeah, go ahead.
The PDF isn't ready. I mean, it's ready. Like he has it. Mo has it. Mm-hmm. You know, he's my homie. But I really want to attach it to my health coaching website so people can join my email list and get it that way. So what you can do now probably is subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my for updates, basically for updates on. Oh, you know what? I can give you I started my YouTube channel for my health coaching. I have one video up there and it's not even me. It's a guy that wrote this amazing book called Your Body's Mini Cries for Water. And it's a lecture that he's giving. But I think there's one subscriber, which is myself. It's not anybody. Or maybe somebody else might be anyway, but he's up there or that lecture is up there, but I'm going to be uploading there soon and I'll be giving updates. So hopefully within the next day or two, I will have that set up and you can go to my website and you can get the free PDF. And emotional ways and physical ways of things that you can do if you've taken the Vaseline or you know somebody else that's taken the Vaseline. So, yeah.
So once again, I appreciate you coming and spending your time with us. But I just want to wrap up on this the last 2 points of the checklist because I want people to start, actually living these things that we talk about. I don't want this to become, just kind of this doomer thing. I think a lot of times people on these platforms, they get people all worked up and then they just leave them in a state of fear and trauma, right? And I definitely don't ever want to be that. So number 5 will be connect with your community. The community we have here is the Facts family. I see you all come here. That's why I try to make the videos premiere or either do live. That way we can come here, find like-minded people, speak to each other. If you see somebody that's new in the community, in the Facts family, make sure you make them feel welcome, and just, love the hell out of them. That's what my mom always say, love the hell out of people. And then the last one is, let me go to this last one, is reach out for support. If you're feeling that you just can't take it anymore, you're isolated, maybe you want to harm yourself or you're having crazy thoughts, reach out for support. Maybe it's somebody in the Facts family. Maybe it's somebody in your own family. Maybe it's somebody that has like-minded views of yours. But never feel ashamed to pick up the phone and call somebody like, look, I just need to have lunch. I just need to see another human being or be in the presence of another human being, because the way I see this going, I don't want to speak anything into existence, but I see this going to a place where we may be locked down again.
To the crazy place again?
Right. And if
going to the crazy place, yeah.
Right. And what I'm going to do is use my platform and my ability and my reach to help people have the best life possible. And I'll just close on that. Virstyne, thank you once again. And we're going to have you come back.
Yeah, in a month.
saying and like you have the you just send the booking information and you're in. Just send me the date and the time and we're good to go. And I'll say to other people, you recommended some people that we need to talk to. Thank you for that, Virstyne, and tell them just hit me up and if they have something to offer the Facts family or information or just a perspective that may be different from ours. And just please invite them. And also for the Facts family, if you see somebody that may wants to come talk to the Facts family, please invite them. My booking information is in my link tree. Have them send me a message. Now, I would say this: they have to offer something, if nothing more than just a difference of opinion. That way, we can seek first to understand, then to be understood. And Pretty, you said Facts Family needs a Facebook group. Hey, that's value. Create it. Invite people. If you give me the link, I will, endorse it. So, thank you again, Virstyne. I'm going to wrap it up here. And as I always say, thank you to the Facts family for coming out on this Sunday afternoon.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are so supportive. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes. And they're the best. And as I always say, pay attention to everything and the truth will reveal itself. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right. Much love, guys. Bye. Peace and love. Bye.